Greetings and welcome to the One Six Scale Man proudly presents Comic Book Talk with Friends. How you guys doing out there? So glad to have you on board tonight. It's going to be an interesting discussion. It's going to be a loaded discussion as we will be talking about, of course, Hawkeye, the season finale, as well as the entire season. Also, we will be discussing just the MCU Disney Plus shows year in review, what we thought of everything this year, and what we hopefully can expect for the next year coming. So yeah, just stay tuned. So glad to have everybody in. So yeah, let me just bring the rest of the fellas in, and we're gonna kind of jump in and dive in. How's everybody doing tonight?
Greetings. What's going on, everybody?
Yeah, it's good, man. Glad to see
What's
everybody's here. Everybody's doing well. Everybody's good.
Yes.
Okay, definitely, man. So glad to see that. Let's see here, Vinny. What you got going on, man? What you do today, brother?
Man, I was making my rounds, visiting family that I wasn't able to link up with on Christmas. So I was just running some errands and hanging out with family and, doing gift exchanges and stuff like that. And then had a nice little scare for the snow because I do snow removal. So I was hoping it would stop. And fortunately, it did. So we had a nice little dusting where I didn't actually have to do anything with it. So made everything around look pretty without me having to go out and move the stuff around. So I got to, keep my break intact because I could use a little bit of a breath catcher after all the festivities of Christmas. So this is where I get to actually, catch my breath and get a little break. I didn't even draw anything this week. So I'm just catching up on some shows, almost finished with Witcher and playing a little bit of video games, doing some stuff I never had time to do in the summer. So good day.
Okay. All right, no doubt, man, no doubt. I think Joe is having some technical difficulties. He said he can't hear us.
Yeah, I was thinking something was up with him.
Yeah, I don't know what's
You
going
might
on,
need
man.
to jump out and then back in.
You might need to come out and come back in. See if that works. Jump out and jump back in and see if that'll basically work.
Can you even hear me?
Oh, we hear.
Yeah,
Oh, there you are.
We
There
hear
you
you
are.
now. Can you hear us?
We can hear you.
We hear you. Okay.
All right, we did. Lael, you went blue again.
Did I?
We're just.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's this
Eh,
camera.
whatever.
That's why it's letting me know I need to actually.
There you
go
go.
ahead
There you
and-
go.
Yeah, I don't know. It's doing some crazy shit. Anyway, Brendan, what did you have going on, man?
Dude, today was a good day, man. There's a lot going on. I mean, obviously, Vinny wouldn't be looking at this, but we did get a nice the Bat and the Cat themed trailer, and damn, I was hyped for this movie already, but that
Yeah.
shit, oh wow, that hit me in my Batman feels, man.
Yeah.
That there was some really, really promising stuff to see in that trailer. So I was super psyched for that.
Definitely.
So yeah, it was that. It was reading some comics. It was and I texted Lael as soon as they dropped this the announcement for Marvel's big summer event. Judgment Day, which we'll talk a little bit about that, so I won't jump right into it just yet, but that got my nerd boner raging.
Yeah.
And I got this guy in a little while ago, so that was nice too.
Okay.
As the magnetic piece fell off, but that's okay.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm digging this. I mean, again, it's just kind of your standard stormtrooper, but he's actually got some pretty cool kind of weathering around it that you didn't really see in the promo pics and stuff.
Yeah.
Dig the orange pauldron. So I mean, it's a trooper, man. You always love to have more troopers.
Yeah.
So got that in today. So that was pretty nice.
Okay.
And yeah, man, it's just all full steam ahead toward Wednesday and Boba, baby.
Oh man.
Beyond hype.
Yeah.
Beyond hype, but I'm kind of I'm taming my expectations and my hypeness a little bit. I'm just gonna wait until it drops so I can just take it all in. So no expectations from me. I'm just gonna enjoy everything I actually get on the screen. So I'm be excited about that. Joe, what you got going on, brother? How was your holiday first off, and how was your
I'm
day?
exhausted from the holiday.
Word? Why not? Why?
Family.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm right there with you, man.
Yeah.
I got a
Family
big
is
family, so I'm
exhausting.
still like collecting myself. And everybody was here, so I feel like the past week before Christmas leading up was just like getting everything.
Mhm.
It felt like a part-time job Christmas. So
Yep. I
Yeah.
always build in a couple extra days after the holiday is over to recover from that.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
just especially like if you like, we have family at our house, so like,
Yeah.
and the kids are going nuts and stuff, and it's just my wife and I were saying it. It's like, you know, like my parents were here for, you know, for Christmas and stuff, and it's like just not being able to just like veg out on my couch for like an
Yep.
hour if I want to, because like I have people sitting on my couch and like, you know what I mean? It's like
Yep.
it's like family's over, but I kind of want to be like, get the fuck out of here so I can lie down and just watch some TV or play some video games or something. So you're just always on. So
Yes.
yeah, it can be
Yes.
tiring.
For sure.
Yeah, but what else did you do, Joe? You said the fam was just like this mainly family, man?
Yeah, and then I caught up on The Witcher, finished that.
Yeah.
Dude, I gotta jump in that.
And
Yeah.
then I started Lost in Space.
Okay.
And then trying to put some process videos together for
Okay.
people.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, man, don't overdo it though, bro. Because we can hear the tiredness in your voice. Like you
Oh,
ain't,
yeah.
it's like you ain't been getting no sleep, man. So you got to get that sleep, brother.
No
Dude,
sleep.
Lost in
Yeah.
Space is a good ride, man.
Yeah.
It's a good show.
Did you
I-
finish it?
No, I'm like halfway through the final season.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll have to catch up. I've only ever seen the pilot.
I heard that the Book of Boba Fett, in the trailers that they released, they've only shown stuff from episode 1.
Good.
I'm happy.
Yeah, it doesn't. I
I-
mean, if you think back on all the stuff we've seen, it doesn't. There hasn't been a whole lot. It's been
Right.
very much like the same kind of handful of shots, kind of recut into different like 30-second spots and stuff.
Right.
Like there hasn't been a ton of variety through them, and that's the same thing that they did that with Mando, because we never saw Beskar or anything like that. Like we didn't really see anything from, you know, beyond the first episode.
Right.
For Mando and the promo stuff, so I think that's probably fair to say. I think we
Yeah.
haven't seen much.
They see
from
how
the
well
rest.
that worked out for them. That they don't have to give away the store. Like you're gonna come along, and that's
Yeah,
for
I thought that
something.
was a positive.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and that's for something that's they did that with something that's like unknown and needed to probably be promoted, like Mando. So
Yeah.
for Boba, they don't need to tell you if you ain't gonna watch it, you ain't gonna watch it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
I don't-
especially if
I
they're
think this for them, like they would, especially, and I'm liking how they've actually done it, because again, you know, what we got in the trailers, of course you don't watch the trailers, Vinny, but what we've got in the trailers is the same, you know, is mainly some of the same thing with just a couple of reshoots, reshots, or things that we actually see from a totally different perspective,
angle.
add-ons.
I
You know-
usually can get a feel of how much whatever it gives away in the trailer, because you'll see it all over the place via memes or stills, and I've barely
Yeah.
even seen any stills from the show, so that's
Yeah.
a plus. So
Yeah.
I figured
Yeah.
they didn't show much in the. I figured they've been doing a teaser style format for the trailers, given the
Yeah.
fact that I've barely seen anything, and usually it's so hard to avoid even seeing.
it
stills from
honestly
trailers.
feels like we've only seen like clips from like 4 or 5 different scenes, like
Yeah.
it just recycled it. It has not been
Yeah.
wide ranging and stuff, and so
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with it. I also think it makes sense because, I mean, you know, given what they've done with Mando and stuff, it's entirely possible that maybe Boba has some upgrades to his armor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, throughout the show, they're not gonna show us that stuff. You
Yeah.
know,
Right.
and so if he has an upgrade to his armor in episode 2 or 3, they're not gonna show us any of that stuff and beyond.
without
so I
giving
think,
it away. Yeah.
yeah. So I really do think that we've only seen stuff maybe from that first
Yeah.
first episode.
Yeah,
What about
I
a
mean,
Jennifer Beals figure?
what you say?
Jennifer Beals figure?
Dude, all on.
She's
board.
a Twi'lek in the trailer, Leo.
She's the orange one.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Fuck
dude,
yeah,
you didn't
dude.
realize that was her?
Dude,
Yeah.
I am so
Oh,
pumped.
Wait.
Yeah, dude.
What the fuck? How did I miss that? Hold on.
I
don't
have
know.
no earthly idea.
How
I
did
don't know.
Because I didn't even pay it any attention. Like,
Because they kept showing those two together, the two Twi'leks together, the two females.
Dude, I'm telling you, she looks hot as an orange Twi'lek. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie.
are you sure?
Or Twi'lek.
Yeah,
is it
Flashdance.
Twi'lek or Twi'lek?
Twi'lek.
I don't know.
It's sort
Either
of
way,
like
She's a
Mephisto
Let's
fucking
go
hot
with
orange
let's
alien.
go with
Mephisto.
Twi'lek because Twilight sounds too close to Twilight.
Twilight, yeah. So let's say Twi'lek. I don't know. Maybe in
So
the chat
she's
some
the
people
orange
know.
one?
Yeah, dude. You see one shot of her and oh,
Yeah, Malachi Flashdance Star Wars.
Wow.
Yeah,
It
dude.
is. Well, she okay, no,
Yep.
she's yeah, okay, so she's not the yellow one. She's
She's
Get
orange.
out.
yeah, dude.
Okay.
I thought you knew that.
I didn't pay attention. I was just
okay.
you know what
Dude,
it was?
I've been so hyped
It's
just when I
because
saw her. I was like,
we got focused from Comic Book Talk with Friends when I was talking to Mari. I mean, not Comic Book Talk with Friends, but Uncivilized Scoundrels. We got, and I'm going to pull this up real quick. Let me pull it up. Because we got so entranced with this one particular scene that we didn't really focus it. And Vinny, I don't know if you want to actually see this. I mean, it's a still. It's not really nothing
Yeah, go
as
ahead.
far as a trailer.
I'm zoning out.
Yeah, but I'm gonna bring this up real quick and I'm gonna show people, and then we'll actually address the chat real quick. But I was so focused in on one particular scene because they had brought it up. It was, if you see this scene,
There
the
she
figure
is.
behind them when they were talking about that could possibly be a throwback, and that's Obi-Wan, which was if they got like a version of, or thinking that it could be like somebody standing in for, say, Alec Guinness as Obi-Wan as a throwback. And I never really realized that. When I looked at it, I was like, oh shit. But then when I look at this, I'm like, now I see her, bro.
Yeah.
Damn. I did not notice that. How come y'all motherfuckers didn't tell me?
dude, come
I
on,
thought
man.
you knew.
I gotta tell you, bears shit in the woods too. Like, come on, dude.
Possibly. But I'm super excited, and I hope she has not. Come on, man. And her, you can't just treat her like any
dude.
old type of
Dude,
character, bro.
She's also, I mean, obviously she's iconic for a lot of stuff and Flashdance
Yes.
and everything. But man, she back in like 2012, 2013, she was in one of my favorite. I have a long list of favorite one season shows that were great and only lasted one season, and it irritates the shit out of you, right? So obviously, like Firefly or something, Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip. One of them was, she was a main character in the Chicago Code with Delroy Lindo, and it was an amazing series and only lasted one season. And then I mean, I've just wanted her on, because she was so good in that. I wanted her to take on like a gritty TV show after that, and that never really materialized, and I was disappointed. But getting to see her on this, man, I hope she's got. I mean, I feel like why bring her in unless it's like I feel like they're not just gonna be like, oh hey, and then like a little cameo kind of thing. I feel like she's got to have something important to do in this.
She better
in the
have a meaty
series.
role. She
Yeah.
better. And my man, Bob Dylan comes through. He sent me all the photos as soon as we started talking about it. Like, appreciate you, brother. Thank you for that, man. But anyway, before we jump in, let me adjust the chat real quick. We have Tobar in the building. Thank you for coming through. Latoya T, as always, thank you for coming through, babe. Renz Tolentino, thank you for coming through. We have, okay. Brendan, you're going to pronounce this for me.
Yeah, I can't.
Wichiban? Wichiban
Wilkban Zoreb. Anyway, man, thank you for coming through. If
We'll call you
you're here-
WZ.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
WZ.
I don't know if that's. We'll see. Anyway, we got Aiden Loftus in here, Angels in here. What's up? Thank you for coming through. We got DK in here. Let's see here. We have Mike Fiala in here. Malachi Mabane is in the building. Thank you for coming through. Nihilus Gray, thank you for coming through, man. We have single songwriter. Always, thank you for coming through, man. Said Philip the Fool. Bob Dylan, as always, man. Thank you for coming through with the assist. Bloodsport, Amelia Lopez, Peter Pacheco, thank you for coming through, man. As always, AP Noble, thank you for being here. Let's see here. And I think somebody now, let me see here. Mike Fiala, man. Get well, brother. Because I just saw in here that you said that you actually got COVID, man. And like, listen, I hope you're resting up. And just you basically being in the chat, bro. If you have it and you are here with us tonight, bro, you are a trooper. But thank you for being here, bro. I want to give you a super shout out. And thank you, bro. And hopefully you and your family get well, man.
He got it
Feel better,
right
man.
before Spider-Man opened.
Wow.
Damn.
Wow, brother.
Dude, and it sucks, dude. Like, I mean, one of my best friends is, he works in DC, but his family is in Jersey, and he was going to go see them. And literally, like, 2 days before Christmas, he tested positive.
Wow.
He got really sick, felt horrible, got tested, turned out it was COVID, and his father, you know, is hopefully in the process of beating cancer, and he had pneumonia, and it was like they just could not, you know, so he just had to stay in DC and couldn't go see his fam for, you know, for the holidays, and it happened like right before, so it was like a fresh wound, and that shit sucks. So
Yeah,
yeah,
shout
man,
out to man. You know, to everybody
Mike,
who's
definitely
dealing
feel
with
better,
it.
man.
Yeah, Mike, feel better,
my
man. Get
shirt.
better. So if you're here with us tonight, man, thank you for watching. But most importantly, feel better, bro. That's what's important, man. So thank you for being here. My prayers for you and your family. Bloodsport, you know, thank you for being here, bro. He said butt naked. Don't talk like that. I don't know what he's talking about, but he just said buck naked. But we'll address that later. Efron Guzman, thank you for being here. We said we JP
Could
Noble.
be anything.
Josh Baker, thank you for being here. That's so brave. Thank you for being here, man. William Owens, SpongeBob, my man, SpongeBob SquareBalls. Thank you for being
I thought he
here.
wasn't going to be here.
Hardcore Candy, thank you for being here as always. Luminara, hey, thank you for being here tonight. We definitely
What's up,
appreciate
Mitch
you being here. What you say?
I was saying, what up, Matriarch?
Oh yeah, the collector number one, my guy. Thank you for being here, man, as always. And Kevin, we got Kieran Kelly, Nerd Corner. Thank you for being here,
Yep.
man. It's a you know, pretty much a packed house, man. Thank you guys for actually being here. El Profesoro, thank you for being here. Ray C, as always. Crumble Zone 115, thank you for being here, man. And yes, loving everybody, loving what we got here. So let's now, before, like, literally, I don't want to really talk about it too much because Vinny, I know you haven't seen it, but I'm just going to tell you this much, Vinny. From my, just basically from me, in my opinion, and this is just putting this out there, bro, the motherfucking Batman is going to be dope as fuck. That trailer, brother,
I can't wait
just
to be
that
wrong.
just that one fucking trailer, bro.
Yeah.
It rivaled any action scene that I've seen from Dark Knight, period. Literally. From the shit that I fucking seen. I am that excited for this movie, bro. I literally, if I wasn't before, I'm super fucking excited for it right now, man. I don't want to say too much, but it was a nice little gift that we got. Shout out to Seamus for thank you for being here tonight too. Yo, it was a nice little gift that we got today, bro. I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I seen a couple of stills. I like the palette. And,
Yeah.
it looks
Bro,
smooth. And
they even showed your boy without a fucking shirt on, and everybody who was talking about motherfucker ain't gonna be fit.
I was thinking
Yeah.
the exact same thing.
Everybody was talking about this dude ain't gonna be
Dude
fit.
got jacked.
He's jacked, bro. He got jacked for this motherfucking movie, bro. So literally, I cannot wait. I'm excited, bro.
You know how much I love Batman, so my
Body
concerns are
double.
only out of love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so important to me. I just want it to be dope. That's all.
And I think
I still hope that despite whatever they're doing with this Battinson version, that they also still try a DCEU version, because it doesn't seem like the Batman world is any way compatible with what they got going on with the DCEU. And I still want to see a Batman that makes sense in the Justice League. I still want them to like stop playing around and give
Yeah,
to the
it's
Affleck
hard.
movies and
So-
I want to see Deathstroke. I want to see the Arkham Asylum type Batman. I want to see him be a detective that knows. I want more Batman in Justice League. Like I get that they're throwing out the rule book where you can have this, a Joker standalone movie, the Batman standalone movie that's like the Dark Knight films, Nolanverse films. But I still want a Batman movie where it makes sense for him to be fighting Darkseid and Clayface and all these other, fantastic, out of this world,
Yeah,
We've seen
I
grounded. We've seen grounded Batman a lot, a lot, and I love the tease that we got seeing a Batman that can mix it up with Superman and Steppenwolf and Wonder Woman. Like, I want that Batman too, because that is where you really get to see how much of an important and integral character he is to the DC, universe.
And you know what? I'm not ruling that out either. I'm not going to rule that out, but at the same time,
But that's not
I
their
do-
plan, right? Their plan is this is
Well,
Earth
see,
2,
they
right?
they can say that that's their plan right now, or it's not their plan right
If
now.
it's a hit,
But
then all of a sudden it's Earth 1 again.
then all of a sudden, and on top of that, what I do like is the simple fact that we're not getting the same trope. We're not getting Batman in the Joker. We're getting basically Batman in a brand new villain. Like we've actually got, we even got that from the Nolan, but it was still influences there. But with
Yeah.
this, we're getting something more like it. It's more of a psychological thriller, but it does because when I see it and I'm looking at it, first film I actually think about is Seven right off the bat.
Okay.
Because that's how gritty
Yeah.
and grungy it actually looks.
Especially in this second trailer.
In
or
this
third,
second
whatever it
trailer,
is.
bro, it gives you that
The
feel.
Riddler vibe is
Yeah.
like, oh shit, this is next level. This is something we haven't seen. Even with like Heath, this is a different animal, but like probably the closest to something like that
Yeah.
we've ever had in with Batman.
Still-
My thing, I agree that I want to see a Batman that like you said can go up against the kind of crazies, the clay faces and the killer crocs and
comic
stuff
booky
like that.
Batman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I'm torn. I mean, because I am super psyched for this flick. Like this detective style Batman I really love. I don't know if on screen any director at this point is going to be able to pull off the combo Batman, the one where you can watch him do the detective shit in one scene, and then the crazy team
so
up with Green
frustrating
Lantern or
because-
something in the next one.
Whoa.
I agree. I would love to see it. I don't know if that's something that's doable
Yeah.
right now. Maybe I think it's one of those things where you can't crack that code until somebody
Yeah.
cracks that code.
But
Until a
that's-
filmmaker comes in and then you're like, oh, that's how you do it, right?
Yeah.
Which is super frustrating because there's been 20 years of people doing it in the animated films. Like, just watch watch.
But I think we can suspend
Any
disbelief a
episode of
little bit
Justice-
more in animation than we can in live action, though.
Right, but I understand that obviously it's a different medium. You could do different things, but the core of the character of how he comes across in Justice League is super possible to do. Where he is someone who can fight, the Riddler in one day,
Yeah.
and someone like
I think the issue there is that the people who are watching the animated shit are like hardcore fans, right? And they're trying to make the live action stuff so it's going to appeal to not just the hardcore fans, but other people who
And
just
that's-
want to see a badass movie.
and that's where they go wrong because Marvel has figured out.
Yeah,
that
but it's a business decision, so I don't know.
So
if
hold
we
on,
can
hold
really-
up. So this is what we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna do.
He does.
We're gonna, because like I said, we can go down this rabbit hole, and so we're gonna table the discussion. I will say, and I'm gonna end this off this way. What I want from this film and what I think they're going to give us, this is what I want. I understand, when it comes to like the multiple characters, showing basically the how versed Batman is from detective to whatever. I understand and I get it. What I want first and foremost, which I don't think I've actually seen or gotten in any of the other films,
Strategy.
I want a grounded Bruce Wayne, a grounded Batman. I want to decipher between the two. I want to see it done well. I want to see the struggle within. And if they can give me with that film, with this particular film, if they can give me what I want, then I'm happy. I'm just basically taking it step by step. I'm not asking for too much right now. Just give me the detective value, year 1, year 2. Give me that, and I'm fine.
This
For
one
right
also
now.
seems like they're going to
For
give
right
us
now.
most complete
Freezing, Brandon.
relationship between Anne and Selena. So it seems
You're,
like
you're
we're
breaking
going to
up
get
a little bit. Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
You're
It
good now.
seems like this is going to give us the most complete kind of relationship of Batman and Catwoman, of Bruce and Selena Kyle, like with
Yeah.
more layers
I
and more
just also
depth than
hope-
we've seen in the others. But the last thing I'll just throw out there on this is with the because the Fat Man Beyond podcast with Kevin Smith, he was talking about this the other day, that it's kind of like when you get Spider-Man, No Way Home, and you get all the Spider-Men in there, and then you get a Flash movie and you get all the Batman in that one. It's the kind of like the DC kind of mentality. They don't always do the thing that makes the most sense, but with this, the one thing is, like, Warner Brothers has screwed up a lot, and they own a lot of the shit for everything that has gone wrong. One of them that they don't really own right now is that it's not that they don't want Ben Affleck back in that Batman role. They
I agree,
do.
William.
He doesn't want to do it anymore. Kevin Smith, who knows Ben Affleck, even said, he's like, look, they can't just back a Brinks truck on his lawn. They've got to back like 100 of them, because he said he doesn't want to do an IP movie anymore. He just doesn't. And so
I want the stress of all the suits. If they stayed out of his way, I think he'd be fine.
maybe that's part of it. But the bottom line is, right now they want him back, and it's just not something he's interested in, and that's why we're seeing Michael Keaton pop up in the Batgirl, thing now.
When in doubt,
it's a matter of
89 Batman in there, and that'll solve all your problems.
So again,
I don't know, but
we'll jump into that. Like I said, we'll actually probably do that on the next show or something like that. We can kind of tell it and just kind of dissect what we think about it. Give the DC universe a run, but I want to actually kind of jump in because we got a lot to cover tonight.
We'll save that for when Jedi Kid is here.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, right, William Owens, you're right. I want a good story. Give me that, and I'm good, and I could just take it from there. So what I want to actually jump into again, I mean, the title of it, tonight, as always, like we've been talking about this, so we're wondering whether or not it was good. So we're going to jump into basically a Hawkeye season overview, but we're going to talk about the finale first. I'm gonna jump in first on this because, like I said, I felt, I have my feelings on what I felt from just this final, whether or not I wanted to see basically it tie a nice little bow on a story that they actually started. That's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see how they were actually going to do this. If in fact it was going to be done well enough, in my opinion. I think it was a heavy task. It was a big task that they actually had to, kind of sew everything up, complete each individual story in the nicest way possible, and make every character in there relevant. And would we actually see them going forward? Was it done right? So first off, I'm going to give my high points about what I thought about the the final episode, episode 6. Florence Pugh is a scene stealer. She steals every scene, every film, pretty much almost every film that she's in. She killed it. Her camaraderie, basically back and forth with Kate Bishop. I think, when I watched it, I'm like, what, these two going forward in the future, I hope we actually see Young Avengers, but I hope we see both of them together again, because they are a 1-2 punch, a force to be reckoned with, and I love the way it was. So that's number one. I love the way they came on screen. Their chemistry together was incredible. Of course, right off the back, they didn't even hold it back. They gave us, of course, Kingpin first opening scene, so we actually got a chance to see that. So it was nice to actually see him on screen finally. So I was really, 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 really happy about that. I was happy about how in the beginning it was sort of paced. Okay, so I'm getting that out the way because I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed the sequences with Hawkeye, the conversation that he had with Yelena. I even love the swordsman. I love basically his banter with the little kid. That was funny as hell. So yes, I enjoyed that. Getting that out the way though, I'm going to talk about the things that I was really, really disappointed with. I was disappointed in how they handled number one, and I just want to get this out the way. Based off of this series, just this series alone, do I think Echo should have her own show right now? No. And it's not to say that she doesn't deserve it. It's just that I don't think that they gave her just due. I don't think that they had a story. It was a heavy task, but I don't think they handled what we got from her well enough in this series to say that, yes, I want to actually see a standalone show with her in it. Now, mind you, they might be saving a lot of that for her show. I get that. But it's just like, they didn't give her a meaty role like I thought that they would. They started out good, but in my opinion, this is my opinion, I didn't think that they handled it well enough. That's just my opinion when it comes to that character. Number two, I mean, the mom and how they basically explained that particular story, and how she had a lot to do with, the swordsman's father getting killed, and how she basically played a role in that. It was just that I think that the way this was and how they actually did this, it was fast paced, but the pacing of it wasn't as great as I thought it should have been. It was like they were trying to actually handle different things all at once. It just didn't feel right. The Watch, I mean, literally, they could have kept that completely out of the show. I understand why they did it, but still, there was no explanation, solid explanation. Yes, it was his wife. We know that it was hers. We know that on the back of the Watch, we saw the shield emblem, which would kind of give us a hint that we're looking at Bobby, but we don't know.
We do.
Did you see the 19 engraved on it?
The 19.
There's a 19 engraved on the back of that watch, which
Agent 19, yeah.
Agent 19, which, okay, but here's the thing. We see that, right? Okay, but at the same time, you're not getting, here's where it kind of lost me a little bit. Especially us as comic fans, we're going to see that. Yes, we understand that. That's cool. But it's just as someone who's seeing this show for the first time, who doesn't really follow the comics but follows the MCU, unless you give us more of it, it just for some reason it just didn't feel like it really tied it up the way it should have. Like it there should have been more to it. I would have much rather her come to New York to help clean out so we can actually see the banter back and forth and have a better explanation. I just didn't like the way it actually ended off just there, and how that, whatever. Of course we know. Now, here's the thing is because people were complaining about, the conversation between Echo and Kingpin and how that ended. That is sort of comic accurate. You have to understand that happened in the books. So don't, if you are upset about it,
Daredevil issue 15 in 1998. Exactly. It's taken directly from Daredevil issue number 15 in 1998.
It's taken exactly from there. So don't get yourself up in a bunch. He's not dead. It's just taken from that particular book. So just understand that and just give it some time and it'll flesh itself out. But all in all, out of everything that we actually seen and how excited I was for the entire season, when we got to that final episode, myself personally felt a bit let down. And then, not to forget, that stupid ass, in my opinion, that dumb ass post-credit scene. Come on, man. Are you serious? Yes, it's Christmas and all that, but I would much rather you end that shit on a fucking Christmas song or everybody singing "Oh Christmas Tree" than give us that shit. I hated that.
I haven't seen Lael this mad about something in the MCU since he learned what Taskmaster's story was in Black Widow.
I was so pissed off about that. Look, I like a musical just like everybody else, but did it fit this scene? Did it fit this show? Hell no. It made absolutely no sense. And I don't think it was just, I think, was it just them paying homage to the show, or I don't know. I hated that. It just made absolutely zero sense to me. There was no connectivity. I'm looking in the audience like maybe they're going to actually have somebody poke their head out, or at least say some shit. No, absolutely nothing. It was a wasted opportunity, man. Like they could have filled that space with something else more lucrative, or give us 2 post credits. They didn't give a shit, bro. I hated that shit. And that to me put a bad fucking taste in my mouth about that final episode, bro. It just lost me, man.
Just before you, just a quick interrupt, and then you go right back to your thing. Just because somebody in the chat mentioned it, Mike Fela, he said my only complaint was the tone of the Kingpin. I knew Disney was going to tone him down from the Daredevil series, but to put Kingpin in Hawaiian shirts, that is comic book accurate. In that exact comic book arc, he wore the white suit with a red Hawaiian shirt. That was not Disney toning it down and not giving us what we love from Netflix. That is 100% comic book accurate, and that's why they did it.
It's a screensaver on his computer, and it's one of his favorite looks from the comics. This dude actually reads up.
Exactly. But yeah, all in all, like I said, look, Yes, Agent 19, Bobby Morris. We would actually understand that, but did the crowd, would the audience basically understand that? Not really.
No.
Not the way it was basically fleshed out. They lost it there. They could have did something more, but they lost it when it comes to that. So I would say, in my opinion, the best of the best for me was Yelena and Kate Bishop's exchange back and forth. Kingpin, see, and then on top of that, we actually got a solid OP Kingpin, strong as fuck in this show. He was tossing motherfuckers around like straight up. So we got a chance to basically see that. So I enjoyed it. For everybody who didn't think that it was the same Kingpin from the Netflix show, he did specify. Yes, it is. It's the
Yep,
same.
he did.
He did
Dude got
portray
run
the
over by a
same.
car and then
But he's
blown up
different,
by a
though.
bunch of things,
And
and
still
dude was
got
still
up.
walking. Like
He
he's
was just
badass.
OP. He was just badass. So that's basically what we got. All in all, throughout the season, I was hopeful. You know, I loved it, but I just think at the end, that final episode is what lost it for me. And then somebody said yes, they said, but I think it was Charlie's Unicorn said that it was that they said it was because of COVID that it kind of messed up the plans. And I get that, I understand that, but with everything else and the COVID protocol that they've actually done with other shows, I think that they could have did a tad bit better, man.
I don't think COVID played. I think they executed the plan that they had. I don't think COVID had a role
I
in
think
this
it
one.
just thought it'd be cute.
Yeah,
Yeah, because they've sidestepped pretty much everything else for COVID
Yeah.
since. So, because they don't want to delay something for another year and a half like they did with Black Widow. So I don't think that had anything to do with it.
Yeah, Big Dog Pound. Yeah, they should have gave us Yelena and Kate eating shawarma. I would have basically enjoyed that as a post-credit
No,
scene
mac
than
and
anything
cheese
else.
with sriracha.
Mac and cheese.
And shout out to JB Collection. Thank you for being here, JB. Yes, so happy you were here. It was nice streaming with you the other day. Vinny, I'm gonna go to you next, man, because like I said, I mean, we didn't really get a chance to really talk about it, but how did you feel about it, bro?
I feel like sometimes I'm the Debbie Downer of this panel and like hating on stuff, and I felt like it was Bizarre World with this episode because I loved a lot of it. I felt like they had an unenviable task of loose ends that they had to wrap up in, less than an hour, and I think they did a pretty damn good job of it. The Kingpin introduction was just incredible. You know what it sounds like here with this round sound when he is talking to Kazi about you got to remind him that this city is mine. They add a layer of low rumble bass to it that makes it the whole freaking house shake when he said that they added to that score when he's talking. That was just incredible. It was really cool seeing him back. It's like obviously one of everybody's favorite representations of a character on screen that we've ever seen, and it's such a tough character to bring to the screen. I dug that. I dug the way they wrapped up the Yelena and Hawkeye issue. I do feel like Hawkeye was pretty brave whistling at her because that would have felt like he was rubbing it in my face to me. Like I thought she was going to shoot him for whistling at her. Yeah. But their scenes were great. Yelena was amazing. Hawkeye got to put in work the whole show, and at this episode he had his arc wrapped up, and where like they can write him out for a while now without it really seeming like they need to bring him back in. I like that he was home for Christmas, yet they still did everything they were supposed to do. I actually dug Maya in this finale too. Like I feel like I do want to see more of her. She got the hair down and she's got the redemption arc with Kingpin and that final scene. I want to see more of that where that goes, because we all know that that's not the end. From those of us who know what goes on in the comics, there's much more. So I can't wait to see them dig in with that. And I was under the impression that we were going to have to kind of like wait for a Kingpin to mix it up with them in order to sell her show. But to me, it sells it in that we know what kind of Kingpin we'll get in her show. And I love that we got the Netflix canon type Kingpin with the comic book superpowers. Yeah. And Kingpin has always been one of the most interesting characters in comics because he doesn't have superpowers. He doesn't have a mutant gene. It may be a latent X gene that's not defined, but there's obviously above and beyond a super power level of invulnerability and strength that he's always had in the comics. Because especially considering his first, protagonist was Spider-Man, so he's always had to fight superpowered beings and always held his own.
Mhm.
So seeing Kingpin just like brush off arrows, brush off getting hit by cars, throw Kate around like she was a 10-pound bag of dirt, it was awesome. It was incredible, and I love seeing it. Really, my only faults for the show, I didn't like the watch resolution either, because as cool as it was like, hey guys, this was really Mockingbird. It didn't explain why the Tracksuit Mafia would give a shit about that watch. Like, I don't know why that watch would be important to them, or why would they care if they had Mockingbird's watch or not. I'm not sure why that would have mattered when there was other items from the compound that would have been more valuable or meaningful to them, but whatever. It was if that all that was to work up to a Mockingbird Easter egg, okay. The after credit scene is sometimes Marvel after credit scenes are just a so you thought there'd be something cool after this Captain America joke or Schwarmer. Sometimes they're just meta. Sometimes they're just a poke, like having fun. And this was one of those like cute things, because a lot of us talk about females in these shows and what they've done to kind of like try to draw in females in, and we had our agenda conversations and everything. Virtually the bulk of the show was strong female characters. Obviously, they're trying to get women to watch. It's not really super surprising to me that there was a musical involved somewhere in there. So in the first episode, I literally seen people joking that, man, I want to see the rest of that play, like tongue in cheek. This was probably them tongue in cheek giving it to you. So it didn't surprise me. It did surprise me. Just like I wasn't really like pissed off when there was that shawarma scene. It was there. It was the shawarma scene of Disney Plus. It was just something stupid, just for fun. I am kind of mad. Like, I sat there watching it, like waiting for something else to happen, because I knew if I just switched it off and then there was like someone in the crowd, I'd been like, oh shit, I should have watched all of it. Yeah. So it's always funny. Like, I wanted to see how my girl would react, and so I watched it again later with her. And as soon as the play started, she was like, that was really good, X. And she just backed out of it. She didn't even watch it. She was like, nothing happened, but the song, right? I was like, nope, it was just a full song. She was like, all right, cool. I can't wait to see Echo Show. That's it. I mean, I was happy with it. I was happy with it.
I think, and the thing is, like I said,
it's weird
what made it
in New York, though. Like, it took like half an hour to show up with a big giant fight with the Rockefeller falling and everything. No cop to be found.
Not at all. But no, don't get it. Look, I want everybody to know I thoroughly enjoyed every episode of this show. It was just the last one. It felt like it could have been episode 4 or episode 5, and that 6 should have been a bit more grander. It should have been, that should have been episode 5. Episode 6 should have been something totally different. You know what I mean? So I just feel as though it just didn't give it what it needed. But again, I thoroughly enjoyed. I loved the character of Kate Bishop in Hawkeye, and I loved every character in this show. Like, literally, I did. It was placed well. The Tracksuit Mafia was phenomenal. They were awesome.
You're really not
hyped
for an Echo Show after this?
No, it's not that I'm not hyped for it. It's just that, look, I'm hyped for her as a character, and I think that she did a bang-up job for what she was given. I just don't think that they gave her enough meat in this show.
And that's why I'm looking forward to her show, because I feel like all of her parts, she like was amazing. And I just, every time she was on screen, I was just like, yeah, cool. I want to see more of her. I really can't wait for her show.
Yeah, I hope that. And the thing is, it's like, I love her as a character. I love the actress as it's everything that they gave us with her.
And they let her take off the eyelashes and bring her hair down.
Yeah, it was set up. It was set up so well. It was just that I wanted it for me, because, like I said, I love the character so much. Yeah. I wanted more. I just wanted a tad bit more, and they didn't give us as much as they should have. Shout out to SpongeBob SquareBalls. Thank you very much for that. Kingpin may have been trying to link Laura to S.H.I.E.L.D. Maya did have the watch and a list with Clint's wife and kids' names. Good point. Could have been more clear, but felt like left little Easter eggs. Yeah, you're true. That's absolutely true. I do agree with you there, man. Like, they did have certain things, but I don't know. I just wanted them to give a bit more, especially to the viewers and people who really don't know about Agent 19. You know what I mean? So it's just something that they could have did to kind of tie it in a bit more. So basically everybody was satisfied and it didn't leave everybody else wondering. Brendan, I'm gonna let you go last because Joe, what did you basically think about this episode, brother?
Thank you for letting Brendan go last, because there'd be nothing left to fucking talk about after he said his shit.
I got it covered.
There was a lot to like. Like, you really saw when Kate and Hawkeye are on, they're fucking on, dude. They work so good as a team.
Yeah.
Like, and we got a shit ton of trick arrows this time.
Let me single you here while you're talking, because I like what you did there with the purple background. You don't think I noticed that? So I like what you did. I know what you did with that. You ain't slick. You know what you did with that purple background. So I was like, let me go ahead.
To go back to that, just the way that they work as a team. And he called her partner. And it really gave you that sense that, you know, for me, when I looked at it as a whole, I was like, they went back to the house and I'm like, shit, does that mean there's more?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, is he going to train her some more? Like, now she's living at the house.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's so much for me to like here. OP Kingpin.
Yeah.
And I do have to admit, I was like, you know, Kate's taken an ass whooping, and she survived no problem, which I found a little bit hard to believe.
Yep, that's that Black Widow.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
and so I did have a little bit, you know, I had a little concern going into the finale because I was like, there's just so many things to wrap up. And you know, I'm like, how's the dog gonna get his name?
Yeah. And did we even see, because she just called him Lucky, but I don't remember him giving the name.
They didn't.
No, she didn't.
The dog got out of the car. It's like, come on, Lucky. And you're like, I was like, shit. So, but I understood it. They had like 55 minutes or whatever. They had to wrap it up. But I have to admit, like, out of everything that I saw, and I loved Yelena and Kate in the elevator and on the way out, you know, to rappelling out of the building. That was gold. And they have something there with her, the chemistry between the two. They have to be in other stuff together. I mean, that's a must. But the part that bothered me the most, like, the Easter eggs were kind of for us, you know, for us hardcores. But I thought Echo was going to tap into, you were going to see, like in the Daredevil series, how Matt Murdock operates. I really thought we were going to see how Echo operates, how she senses vibrations, right? How that affects her fighting, how she can signal and get ahead of these guys on their movements. And we didn't see that. And then I was just kind of like feeling like they just made her an assassin, kind of. They didn't really get into it. And maybe they're saving that for the series. But I felt like any nods to that would have been appreciated, because then you would have got a sense that she's not just a trained killer. Like, she has some special abilities that she taps into that affects her fighting, and not just mimicking other people and mirroring and seeing it once and being able to do it like a master that's done it all her life, right? So that's the part that got me. And I knew, you know, I read all the books, so I knew that was a comic accurate Kingpin in the Hawaiian shirt. And that scene at the end, and we're going to get more Kingpin, because people were hitting me up like, dude, did she kill the Kingpin? I was like, do you see all those freaking arrows that exploded on the ground? No. Like, one shot from that gun wasn't going to do it. So, overall, it was like, I felt like it didn't wrap up the story with Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, I felt like there's more there because he brought her home.
Yeah.
I feel like there's something there as far as training, or there's just more.
Yeah.
So I was kind of bummed out about that a little bit. But overall, it was pretty good with the amount of stuff that they had to wrap up.
Yeah.
And
I like that though, Joe, because when we see her again and she's like super badass like he is, that kind of explains how she got from where she was in the show to really good to like when we see her again, she doesn't have to still be so green.
Right. And I think for me, since I love the portrayal of Clint and getting to know Clinton Barton in this series, I think for me it's just wanting more of Clint in this show, right? Not wanting it to end. So maybe that for me is the issue, is that he was a badass in this, dude. And I really, it was about time, and now I just wish that there was more of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
definitely.
that's where I stand on it.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I mean, I agree, man. Like, I think again, in Feige we trust. So I'm guessing
Absolutely.
I know he knows what he's gonna do, and I guess they're setting this up. I listen, regardless of everything, I quite enjoyed the season. I did. I enjoyed the season. I just wanted more out of the season finale, and I felt as though that could have gave us a tad bit more, and it just kind of left me like, okay, but that post-credit scene I could have did without. I never want to watch it again. And I watched that episode. Every time I watched the episode, I just stopped it at the end. I just never watched that post-credit scene. But
we
Brendan,
still got some Die Hard vibes too.
Yeah, we did.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. We definitely did get it. And that's what I loved about it. And people don't really actually know how. Okay, so don't think that owl in a tree was thrown there for no reason at all.
It's a real life reference.
It's a real life reference. That owl in the tree was thrown there for a particular reason, but I'm not going to take up too much time. Brendan, what did you think, bro?
I was not left wanting. I got everything that I wanted out of this show, and then some. I did not have an issue with the finale and the way it unfolded. I called it from the beginning. I thought we'd get more reveals in episode 5, and in episode 6 would just be that crescendo. It would just be the nonstop action, and I got everything out of it that I wanted. I went back and we'll talk about this later on, but I went back and ranked every MCU property from this year. From 2021, and this was number 2 on my list. Number 2 out of everything. And that's based on just sheer enjoyment while watching it. That's how I kind of rank these things. I absolutely loved it. So let's try and go down the line. The post-credit scene, I called it from the first episode when they opened with the Rogers musical. I was like, it's going to be a number from that. That's going to be the post-credits. I thought maybe they would reveal some key character sitting in the audience watching it, but it wasn't like a deal breaker for me. Like Vinny mentioned, there have been throwaway post credits. There's just Cap saying, you waited until the end and you thought you were gonna get something great, and it's just, but people loved that because they laughed at it and they thought it was funny. Now people who love the musical that they put together are having the same reaction to that we had to Cap at the end of Homecoming. So I think we've come to expect so much from the post-credit scenes that we got a little spoiled on those. And sometimes the show is done before the credits, and the other thing I think that we got to keep in mind is, what do we have coming in the MCU that we know anything about, really? We've got Multiverse of Madness coming, which I don't think there is going to be a direct linkage with Hawkeye and that, right? What else do we have coming that we've even seen a teeny tiny little bit from? Right, we haven't seen much from She-Hulk or Moon Knight yet. We don't know if there would be connections that would make sense from Hawkeye to those. Right now, we just don't know how you could effectively link a post-credit scene in Hawkeye to any other property upcoming in the MCU without knowing more about those properties right now.
Real quick. If done right, the link to Secret Invasion could happen.
Right, but that's still so far out. They don't want to give anything on that, though. Like, we haven't seen like a single set picture from that. Like, that's what I'm saying is, like, I believe that they've got a plan, and and if there was a way that a Hawkeye post-credit scene would have linked to that and in a way that they wanted, they would have done it. I think it was just it's not the right thing to do right now, and we're not just going to try and force something in. So we're just going to do something light and funny. Some people love it, some people hate it, but I think that's what it was. But I think sometimes I think now we've come to expect a little too much from post-credit stuff, and just we have to recognize that sometimes it's just going to be a throwaway, and you might dig it or you might not, but you shouldn't let it impact how much you enjoy the rest of the episode or the show as a whole. That's just my opinion. So that's the post credits. As far as the Mockingbird thing, I dug it. And here's the thing with it, and it's representative of so many of the discussions that we've had on this channel about these. There's like literally 100 years worth of stories in the comics that we're privy to, but other people aren't, and a lot of other people who are going to be watching these shows and these movies don't have that back knowledge. But they're not going to stop putting those things in. It's going to be one of those things where I think most people that have paid any attention to the MCU, right, are going to recognize that SHIELD logo. And not knowing the backstory, you could be like, oh shit, his wife was an agent of SHIELD. So maybe she crossed paths with Kingpin, or there's a reason why she's hiding out. It's not just because of who Hawkeye is, but it's because, okay, cool. Then for us, who are comic heads, and we have that back knowledge, then we see the 19, and then we make that connection. Right. And eventually all that stuff filters out onto the internet so that people watching this stream or people reading up online and stuff will then be like, oh, that's what that was. Okay, I didn't know that. And it fills in and they look to engage more in that. But they're never going to stop putting those things that are just for the comic heads in there, right? So there are going to be levels to that game where it's something for the general viewer, which is the SHIELD logo, and then something for us who dig deeper and have that deeper knowledge, which is the 19. And it's fun for us to have that, too. Because if there wasn't any of those additional things, and if it was just the SHIELD logo, right, then that would be an issue where it's like we feel like we're not getting those extra touches from being those faithful comic book fans. Yes, we do have 3 Earth-based, New York-centered shows, but we don't know anything about the plots or what those are going to be yet. She-Hulk, Moon Knight, Echo damn sure hasn't started filming yet. Right. So we don't know how, just because they're Earth-based or NYC-based doesn't mean that they would have a viable connection to this iteration of Hawkeye in this show. So that's why we can't just we can't just be like, oh, it's because otherwise it's like, oh, well, they're in space, so that means you can link Guardians and Ms. Marvel or Captain Marvel, and that it doesn't always work that way. But so that's my feeling on the on that issue with with Laura / Bobby Mockingbird. So that's that. With regard to Kingpin, I know some people were saying he's like, we use the term OP, but we're using it like in a good way. Like it was cool to see him powerful like that. Some people were saying, oh, well, he's essentially like a super soldier or something. No, he's basically Andre the Giant, okay? Mm-hmm. Think about it. Andre the Giant was a real man. Dude was just larger than life. And that, like, his head was like the size of your whole torso. His hand was the size of your whole torso, right? Right. And in the comics, Wilson Fisk is not just some big fat dude. He can throw down. He can go up against Spidey. He can go up against Daredevil, right? And you look at they weren't bloody the way Netflix was. but he took it to Daredevil. He took it to Frank Castle in prison in the second season of Daredevil, right?
He was agile.
So, yeah, exactly.
He was super agile.
So there was nothing out of character at all about his representation in this show. It may be different than some people were expecting based on Netflix, but there is absolutely zero in this show that was out of character for Kingpin as a Marvel villain. So no problem. Everything down to the Hawaiian shirt. No problems with that whatsoever. And again, I mean, I think Vincent D'Onofrio is just a fucking marvel.
So
dude is just amazing. I mean, he was born for that role, like you said, Leia. Like the man was born to be Wilson Fisk,
and he actually is a fan.
Absolutely.
He's a fan.
And the other thing too, and this is where I back to my other thing about Mockingbird and stuff. Is that there's interviews with Vincent D'Onofrio, and he's like, yeah, I don't even know why my character was looking for that watch. I'm curious. I want to know. You think he wasn't asking Kevin Feige and those guys, and they didn't tell him because there's more. There are layers to that, and they're not just going to be like, oh, well, this is why. It's like, don't worry, we know what we're doing. They're not just dropping stuff in there for shits and giggles, okay? There is a plan. I fully believe that there's some paths crossed between Bobby Morse as Mockingbird and Kingpin in the past. She knew who like Clint just said, the big guy, like she knew who he was. She knew exactly who was talking. Like, yeah, so there was no hesitation on that. So I do believe we'll see more of that. Kingpin, he ain't going anywhere. Anybody who thinks that he's dead after him coming in to this show and then bringing Charlie Cox back in No Way Home, if you think that they did that as a one-off and now those guys are... No. And they're not going to bring Daredevil back and not bring his biggest villain for him to go up against. They're not going to bring somebody like Echo in and then just do a one-and-done with Vincent D'Onofrio. That's not going to happen. Vincent D'Onofrio will be back. In the comics, Echo did not kill him. She actually blinded him. She shot him. She blinded him. And then he had to kind of almost be like in Daredevil's position, you know, and go through that. And because comics, he got his sight back. But, you know, like, so he's absolutely not. That. Yeah, he's absolutely. he rubbed some tussin on it. He ran out. He put some water in it, shook the bottle up. He had Motussin. He, you know, and he was all good. He's not going anywhere. He's going to be around for a while, I guarantee it. So that's that. On Lael, on your point on Echo, I understand what you're saying because I do believe that we were really hyped about what they were doing with Echo in the first 3 episodes, but when Yelena came in, they shifted gears and focused on Yelena and Kate and that dynamic and moved a little bit away from Echo in that sense. And that's a choice, whether you like it or not. I get the drawbacks to it. I agree. I think they did. They shifted focus there, but I also think it, and same thing with Joe, what you're talking about with her powers and how they work. I think they wanted to just show she's badass, and then in her show they're then going to delve into how that works and why. Because if they just kind of glossed over it in a Hawkeye-centric show, we would have felt like they did a disservice to explaining how she really, really does what she does. So I do think we're going to get more of that. I think it's just a thing where we got to be patient on it. And then as far as the show as a whole, and like Vinny, I'm super excited for Echo for that show, even more so after watching this series. They took trick arrows and made them badass to the point where people who were like, oh god, that's kind of ridiculous and stuff, were like, oh shit, they did that really well. Those trick arrows were on point. They were awesome. And then the time where he shoots one arrow and splits it with the other, and then Kazi's like, nice shot, and Clint's like, yeah, no shit, that was money. That was like, yeah, no shit, my shot was nice. Like, that was one of the best scenes, dude. It was so good. Him and Kate on the ice, not slipping at all, because they can just walk on that ice. Not even a little bit. Just great tread on those boots. But yeah, they crushed that. Yeah, they kind of did a head fake with the swordsman, and like he just turned out to be just some kind of really eccentric, you know, weirdo who's really good with swords. But, you know, you can't have everything, so I'm okay with that. But the dynamic there, like you mentioned, the owl. The only thing missing from the owl scene was I wanted Clint to be like, "Hey there, buddy," while he was hanging, and the owl just go, "Ooh," like that. Like I wanted that. But how those guys got taken away, and he's nice reference to Ant-Man about, like, I don't know, I got to ask Scott about that. No, well, I guess it's a moot point now because those guys are fucking dead. Because owls, they don't fuck around. Like, those are predators. So those guys are gone. All in all, yeah, I absolutely love this show. I think it was just nonstop fun. It was very, very faithful to Matt Fraction's run in the Hawkeye comics. And like I said, just from pure enjoyment, this was, I think, number 2 on my list of MCU properties in 2021. And I'm going to go back and rewatch it a lot.
I'm also glad they kept out the clown. I didn't need to see him in the show, so
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, but I mean,
that was Kevin Feige's choice because he felt as though there was not enough relevance, and shoehorning him into this show would have required a backstory, and they didn't want to do that. They didn't want to actually put him in, so he just wanted to focus on the central character. So that's pretty much why he, said he did it, which was a good call, definitely. And the thing is about the trick arrows, man. Here's the thing. Yes, I'm so glad that it was Hawkeye centered, where we got a chance to see this in his own standalone television show, and it was meaty like the way it should have been. My only gripe about that is if they would have even showed us a hint of what he can do with those arrows in the films properly, then I think people would have been more engaged with this character and wanted to see more. Like, come on. People don't understand that Hawkeye is a central character of the fucking Avengers, bro. Yeah. He is fucking dope as shit. And they just didn't give us that.
Led the team.
It's just like, it's funny because there's a symmetry there. Like when Bendis decided to kill him, everybody lost their fucking mind, and he was just like, hey, "You guys like Hawkeye?" And it's like he's like a silent favorite. Like where a lot of people like him, but he's just not as big of. He doesn't make the noise that Thor or Iron Man does. So he's not as marketable, which they touch on. He's not trying to be marketable, so it's
he
really
doesn't get as much love as Green Arrow, even which is the same friggin' character, just minus the money. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a lot of parallels there with his. It's kind of like one of those people take him for granted. Once you take him away, it's like shit. What are you doing? What you're not taking off Hawkeye, but it's like, well, you guys weren't clamoring for him when he was in the movies or in the show. It's like, but he just isn't as flashy. That's all.
It happened in Infinity War.
Yeah,
he wasn't there, and everybody freaked out.
Yeah, it wasn't in Infinity War. Everybody freaked out, and when he's in
originally
Endgame,
he was supposed to be though.
Right.
Because originally the Endgame opening with him and his daughter and then his family disappearing on the farm was supposed to be the last scene in Infinity War. But then they ended up having to trim for time, and then they moved it to, which I think worked much better.
It worked perfectly because in his character was layered just enough and just right in Endgame.
Hawkeye scene were Hawkeye scene were some of the best parts of Endgame aside from the final fight, and a lot of people knock things that weren't the final fight as boring until he got there, but Hawkeye scenes were unquestionably amazing.
And now people are clamoring for a second season of this, which there are any number of ways they could go now. They could do a Hawkeye and Black Widow show, and it's Kate and Yelena, which would be really dope. They could do just call it Hawkeye again, and it's more of the two of them. They could call it Hawkeyes, and they could, but there's definitely going to be... Yeah, there's definitely going to be more with Kate, too, because at the end, when she's coming up with, the really bad names, and then he's like, I've got an idea. Yeah. It's because in the comics, he said, you need, no, you can continue on, because originally Cap gave her the mantle of Hawkeye, but then when Clint came back, he said, no, you don't need to come up with something, you are Hawkeye, you keep that. So I think that's whether or not he's passing it off or they're kind of co-Hawkeyes, I don't know. But I do think we're going to see a lot more of them and Yelena because and god damn, Florence Pugh just she just captivates and
she always does
absolutely blows you away. So there's so much to love with this show, and this is gonna be a repeat watch like you wouldn't believe.
Definitely.
And honestly, I think this is gonna be one of my roster of holiday things to watch, along with Die Hard and Home Alone and Christmas Vacation. It's gonna be the Hawkeye show.
definitely. So what I want to do right now, again, like I said, if for those of you who haven't, go back and watch it. I mean, we're all going to do it. I'm going to binge it. Just like I'm actually today I was binge watching actually my favorite show out of all the MCU Disney shows that we've seen. I'll tell you about that a little bit later, but go back and watch it and I'll show you my ranking. I'll let you know. I'm going to let you know my ranking tonight, but yeah, I've been watching it all day because just off the sheer fact that I enjoyed it. But yeah, let us know what you guys think about the Hawkeye season. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you like the season finale? What you think? Yeah, let us know in the comments, man.
Or if you have questions about like something that wasn't clear to you,
yeah, just shoot a shout out and just let us know, man. What I'm gonna do is now, like I said, as promised, I want to actually do a year in review, pretty much on the Disney year. The Disney MCU, the Disney Plus MCU series. I kind of want to touch bases on this a bit, just to kind of get an idea, like, let everybody know, just to see where everybody's heads at when it comes to these shows and, what you're thinking, how do you feel about it? Do you think that maybe, what do you think is your top, your loved, your liked to the least liked? Interested in basically figure out what you guys think. So, again, I think it was a successful year. Despite what everybody thinks, it was a very successful year. Disney did exactly and Kevin Feige did exactly what he wanted to do with these shows. He gave us something interesting to watch. He gave us fillers. He gave us not even fillers. He just gave us interesting content. He gave us things that kind of tied a nice little bow around what was to come with this next phase, and I was completely happy with it. As far as my ranking, I'm going to give you my ranking right off the top, and what I basically thought, what I love the most, what shows I love the most. Starting with, I would actually say number 5, of course, for me, was, again, the What If. It was
Wait,
great.
Did you say number 5?
Yeah, it was 5. There were 5 shows this season.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no! Or you're doing the show. I did the whole MC. I did the movies and all 9, like movies and
No,
TV.
we're just doing the MCU shows. That's
Disney
it.
Plus.
This the Disney Plus MCU
That's
shows.
a cop out. Come on.
So we're gonna do that. So basically, my number 5 so far, because the movies will tackle that, whatever. But the number 5 for me, I guess again was What If. I really basically enjoyed what they gave us and the potential to see these characters come through in future projects. Which we have, as I was right again. I love being right. Basically, we are going to get these characters in future projects, and I'm so happy to basically see that. We're going to actually definitely see Supreme Strange in in the Multiverse of Madness. So I'm happy to basically see that. We are getting a Captain Carter comic book, which eventually they're going to adapt in the MCU. So we're going to see that. And there's going to be other characters that they're going to actually bring in. Kevin Feige has already stated that. So that's my number 5. My number 4 is, to me, and again, was Loki. Again, I love the show. I love where it basically went. It got a bit zany, every now and then, but it was the right type of zany, and I love that. Tom Hiddleston can do no wrong. Like, he's just Loki, true and true. I definitely loved, the entry of his character. I loved everyone that was actually in the show and, their portrayal of these particular characters. They knocked it out the park. So I definitely love that. And I'm so, come on, they gave us Kang. And how that was actually played out. So I'm so happy about that. My number 3, again, was Hawkeye. That was basically, I love this show so much. As a matter of fact, no. I'm going to switch it up. My number 3 was Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That was my number 3. And that's mainly because, yes, there was some, because basically they had to change up the story due to the simple fact that we did experience an epidemic and what the story originally was about. They had to kind of change it and flip it. But I definitely love what we got from it. And I can't wait. Come on, we got Sam as a new Cap. That Hot Toys figure is coming home when it's released. Definitely it is. But yeah, I did love that. I love the banter between him, and Bucky, Anthony Mackie, and I keep forgetting his name, Sebastian Stan. They played off each other so well. I quite enjoyed that. I love the entry of the Dora Milaje, Io, how she came in and just killed it. So I did love that. So yeah, I can't wait to see what's coming in the future for that. My number two is Hawkeye. And the reason why I'm putting that at number 2 is because I quite enjoyed everything about it. It was a nice little Christmas feel. Everything about it just gave me the feels. Again, the season finale, I loved it. Didn't like that post-credit scene. I'm just me. But again, all in all, I love the simple fact that we got Echo. I love the simple fact that we got Kate Bishop. We got the reveal of Kingpin. And yes, he is back, baby. I'm so glad about that. We got the Tracksuit Mafia. Love that. We did get a hint of Mockingbird. Interesting to see basically if that'd go any farther. Don't know. Hopefully it does. But definitely I am happy about that. Charlie Unicorn said the future Luke Skywalker. We'll see. Anyway, and number 1 for me, and because I quite enjoyed it and I love where it went, was WandaVision. I think it was excellent. It was excellent from the beginning to end. I loved everything about that show. I loved how it was done, how it took you through the different eras. Basically from the 30s to the 40s, the 60s. It actually took us everywhere, and I love that about the show. They took risks, and it paid off. It had multiple nominations. Elizabeth Olsen, she killed that. She definitely killed that. Her and Vision, the way they played off of each other was incredible. So I can't say enough about it. We finally got the original Captain Marvel female, the first female Captain Marvel in this show. I was so happy about that. Catherine Hahn, she definitely killed it. She was golden. Mm-hmm. How they tied it up, finally getting the White Vision. I was like, yes, West Coast Avengers is a bonus for me. I love that. But yeah, I love basically how they played off of each other, how, even the cinematography of the show itself, the emotional beats where it was actually needed, between her and Vision, that line that we got, come on, Paul Bettany, he had every female swarming over him after that line that we got. He said, what did he say? What is
grief if not love persevering?
Without love, love persevering. Like that line itself, literally, that's just, it was banging. Like that was heard around the world for weeks. Like seriously. So yeah, all in all, I basically enjoyed what we got this year, and I think that the beauty of this all is the simple fact that yes, we got a few films this year, especially because of the pandemic. Some films that people loved, some films that people didn't like at all. But with these shows, it didn't matter, because you at least got content that you can grapple onto and say, you know what, at least I still have this. And a lot of this, even with these shows, it allows you to go back and even appreciate some of what we actually got from the films. We got, which we'll talk about, in another show or at another time. We got the Shang-Chi. We got, I guess, again, Spider-Man No Way Home that hit that $1 billion mark. We got the Eternals that was pretty much divisive between everybody, but I loved it. But yes, I mean, I can't say it enough. That's just basically where I sit. Toya T, she actually came in. I think she gave her, I was interested to see what she would actually say. She said 5 through 1. What if Hawkeye, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, and WandaVision? Hey, that's interesting. I like her pick. That's basically the way she loved it. Hey. But yeah, all in all, basically, the future is so bright with the Disney Plus MCU, especially what we have coming going forward. We ain't even touched it. This ain't even the meat of everything. Like, we have so much coming, so much content coming, and I'm super duper, super excited about it. Vinny, what you think about this season, bro? How did you feel about it, man? Because you actually want to hit me up and said, yo, we should do this. Yeah. So it's interesting to hear you. Of course, Butt Naked is going to go last, as always. So take it away, Vinny.
I definitely wanted to touch on Disney Plus's kind of like first full, year of doing these shows, because to me, I feel like it was such a revolutionary experience for the fact that Marvel has so many balls that they're always juggling at all times, and there's just only so much that they can do on film, especially with the way that the pandemic slowed down production of films. What they were able to do with this streaming service was, I feel like it was incredible because there's so many stories to tell, and there's only so many movies that they can put out in so much time. And what these shows are, and now we're seeing the fruits of their labor. What these shows are able to do is, tell longer versions of these stories and set up characters. And then when any of these characters are brought into the films, you don't need 20-minute, half an hour origin backdrop on where they came from. You got the show. It's beautiful and it's paid off in full. 5 for me is What If. I feel like that's going to be kind of common, and but there's still so much to be said for that show. Mm-hmm. The Sorcerer Supreme episode, I feel like, is one of the great episodes of Disney Plus for the whole year period. It's just there was a lot of misses in that season too. Like Party Thor takes a lot away from everything they did good on that show. There were some tough watches on that show, and I don't think any of the other live action shows have any episodes where you kind of regret that you watched it. After that, to me, would be Loki, which is tough because I really appreciate the risk that Loki took, and like that was WandaVision is going to get a lot of love for their approach, and I feel like Loki should get a lot of love for its approach too. It was definitely an unorthodox show, and it's just it didn't always work, and I feel like but when it did work, it was great. Like that Glorious Purpose episode they can hang their hat on that episode for forever. That was such an incredible, impactful episode. Mm-hmm. And of course, they gave us the finale with Kang, which is going to mean so much down the line. So I feel like that show was a big springboard to a lot of cool stuff that's to come, but it wasn't an entirely the home run throughout the show I would have hoped for, but it was absolutely great. After that for me is Hawkeye, and that's tough because 2 and 3 is somewhat interchangeable. It kind of like depend on my mood. I definitely could see me flipping 2 and 3, but we've talked about it for past few weeks, so there's not much more to say. We all know what the highlights of the show was. Hawkeye getting more love and more shine. The backdrops to his past, and we got to introduce new characters that we all maybe never thought we'd see, like Maya, and return of characters from the Netflix shows like Kingpin. It's a huge deal. 2 for me is Falcon and Winter Soldier. Falcon and Winter Soldier, I feel like, was such an important show for the culture. Like that show talked a lot about race and superheroes in a way that didn't feel preachy ever. And they did it in such a respectful and like profound way that I feel like it taught without beating you over the head. And just the perspective that it showed what Sam was going through, that a lot of people, even within the show, didn't understand or realize had so many parallels to what is going on in the world right now. And it was, so I felt like it was a political symbolism without it really being shoved down your throat. And I felt like it also had a lot of amazing action and pacing and music. And I mean, you could put that scene with I forget her name, but the Dora Milaje woman, Io, telling him the homecoming and his keywords, and it not affecting him, and Sebastian Stan crying. You can put that up for any Emmy, and I don't see anyone being taken. There's not much that beats that scene of how powerful that is to him to have his mind back. You know what I mean? It's so understated.
Bro, that had me tearing up, bro.
Oh man, it was such a powerful scene to what he's gone through, to be able to feel like the whole show is about freedom, right? I mean, so the freedom that he regained in that, the freedom that Falcon is fighting for, the internal struggles of what they're going through. The show is a lot more than a superhero show, and I feel like that's really tough to do. And at the same time, have a lot of action, and they did so much in that show. I was really impressed with it. Number one for
Yeah.
me, and by a million miles, is WandaVision. I
Yeah.
feel like WandaVision will go down as one of the most creative, impressive
Yeah.
efforts.
Yeah.
For this to have been their first show
Yeah.
and take the risk that they took to do a surreal, abstract, um, just completely like outside the box that's outside of the box type of
Yeah.
show was
Yeah.
just incredibly extraordinary. Every
Yeah.
decision that they made on this show paid off in spades. The only knock on the whole show is the Ralph Boner reveal, which is dumb.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
that was I hated that and
Yeah.
loved literally every single thing else that they did
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
the first few episodes. I mean, I could have watched 10 episodes of them going through the years of sitcom shows
Yeah.
with the little cracks of chipping away of what was really going on, especially as a comic book fan watching
Yeah.
it, not being as confused as maybe the casual fan who was frustrated not knowing what was going, but knowing what was going on and knowing her powers. And for years us seeing them take the opportunity for this show to give us chaos magic, which we've seen her for years just be Jean Grey and just move it with her mind, and it's like
Yeah.
do so
Yeah.
much more.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Olsen was just incredible. Paul Bettany was phenomenal. Like they just everything they just knocked it out of the park. It was
Yeah, they
such
killed
an
it.
extremely unique and bizarre and beautiful, effort from everybody involved. It was such a unique experience. It was one of the few shows I've ever felt like there's nothing ever been like this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to me, WandaVision was wow, just absolutely just incredible. Nothing like it, completely unique. And
Yeah.
every other show that they did in the season, we've seen that type of show, but they did it with Hawkeye, or that type of
Yeah.
show, but they did it with Loki. Like, but there was nothing I've ever seen that was like WandaVision.
Bro, it was so cohesively done that
Yeah.
we got a chance because it was daring. It was
Yeah.
extremely daring, but us
The
basically
balls to do that first episode,
hell
of the
yeah.
show, knowing that everybody's gonna be like, "What the fuck is this shit?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look how many? Look at how we talk all the time about the suits, making sure that it's something that for everybody, not just the geeks, right? But
Yeah.
knowing damn well they did that episode, knowing only the geeks would know it's really, only the geeks would know what's really going on, and that's
Right.
what would have to like Wikipedia what the fuck is one of it,
Yeah.
or which is real powers or what is going on. But
Mhm.
that caused so much conversation and hype, and you had people going, no, just wait. I like that you didn't get like your hand held, right?
Yeah.
They didn't hold your hand and say like, calm down, here's what's really going on. You had to be patient, and there was a build up and there was a payoff, and it was
Yeah.
such a huge payoff, and it was so amazing, and it jump started the multiverse in a way. It jump started
Hell
her
yeah.
powers, and it also led credence to any hero or super villain or superhero that we see concurrently that might not be what you feel is the comic book version, or they've been nerfed. We say that just be patient. Maybe down the line they will be after. I mean, we've seen Thor power scale.
Yeah.
We've seen
Yeah.
Wanda power scale now, so it gives you. It lets you know that they know what we're saying and what we're thinking and what they're doing
And what
it
we
was-
feel, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, bro. Like it was daring. I mean, WandaVision, I've watched it multiple times and I still got the same feel from basically watching it. It was marvelous, bro. It was marvelous like that. It was amazing, Joe, what you think about this season of Disney Plus shows? Were you satisfied? Did you get what you wanted from it, man? What you think? Is it endless possibilities for us, bro? What you think, man?
I think the biggest thing for me, if you take a step back and you look at it as a whole, you can break it all down to very important and powerful character moments.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it was character moments in every show.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't just like, if you look at Doctor Strange and What If,
Mm-hmm.
what he went through in that episode
Yeah.
for the sake of someone he loved, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you look at Loki and you look at all the different things that they had to wrangle
Yeah.
in there. There's a lot of moving parts to Loki.
Yeah.
And
Maybe
not
remote.
only that, you get you get an insight into the TVA, which, you know, if you know the books, you know a little bit about that. And then you look at that, and then of course Loki is in love with himself. You know, the irony of him loving Sylvie, which is a female version of himself. You're just like, oh, that makes sense.
And you know what? The fucked up part about it is you're going through it like you're really sympathizing for him, but then you know it doesn't hit you like, wait a minute, he's in love with his fucking self, man. Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly. So I looked at that, and then, you know, the introduction of Kang, we know where that's going. That's powerful, right? Yeah. And then just the relationship between Owen Wilson's character and Loki when he's breaking it down. Really?
Yeah.
You're not a bad person?
Yeah.
Like, here's your greatest hits. Let me show you something.
Yeah.
And to see Loki kind of come full circle and not be about himself.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
I think the growth, right? Character moments and growth.
Yeah.
And then you can go into I'll give you my 1 through 5 at the end, but I'm just talking about specific character moments.
Yeah.
And then you look at Hawkeye. We get the introduction of Kingpin and Echo.
Yeah.
Right? And Kate Bishop. We welcome back Yelena.
Yeah.
And there's just so much going on here as well. And this to me is really up there just because of chemistry between everyone.
Exactly.
So, you know, pacing was almost spot on from episode 1 through 6.
Yeah.
You know, there's some hangups in 6 because of just so much content they had to try to tie up.
Yeah.
You know, and I really thought it could have used another half hour or something, you know, in the finale, right? But just seeing how Kate was introduced and the relationship between her and Barton, like, you know, how you see from the comics the way that Fraction did it, and then the callbacks and everything, it was all there, right?
Yeah.
You know, whether it was a t-shirt that she was wearing in the books, like, you know, so many little things. The part where she called herself, you know, one of the world's greatest marksmen, and then he's like, well, maybe you are. And she's like, what are you talking about? Because his hearing's all jacked up. And then he's, maybe you are like one of the greatest marksmen. And she's like, oh, you know, and there's just so many great moments.
You should probably walk the dog.
Right, exactly. And then you have Yelena and her. The mac and cheese.
Oh my God,
like,
bro. That was probably one of the best scenes out of the entire series that I actually loved. I loved
How many people went and ate mac and cheese with hot sauce right after that? How many? Come on, don't lie.
Like the minute the door opened and she threw the siracha at her and she catches it and goes, hi.
Yeah.
And then it was just on, right? It was instant chemistry. Them in the elevator.
Yeah.
And she's like, come on, Kate Bishop. Come on. Like, no, right? Yeah. And then the chemistry between Hawkeye and her fighting. I'm looking for some trust a bro like memorabilia now, right?
Yeah.
Like all of it was super just fast paced and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Echo. Like we're getting Echo. We never thought we'd get Echo, right?
Yeah.
So D'Onofrio and having him be OP, that's a good thing because we know how Marvel nerfs everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They nerf everyone. So to see that was amazing.
To go the other way is great.
Exactly. Now, some of the best character reveals for me, like later on for this, would be like, you know, seeing U.S. Agent in the flesh.
Yeah.
And seeing him get away with the shield scene, you know, when he's
murder.
Like I didn't think we were going to get that. To humanize Baron Zemo a little bit, right? To get a little insight in his character and to see the memes come out of the dance floor scene, right? But like the chemistry between Falcon and Winter Soldier was amazing. The growth, the character growth that happened between Bucky and Sam, like the duality of it, and then them both coming together. The scene where they pull the chairs together in front of the therapist, and they're looking at each other in the eye, and you can see.
I wanted more of those. I wanted more therapy sessions with them.
Exactly. It was exactly what I wanted from that series. And to see the struggle with Bucky and having to want closure with some of the people he killed and what was left behind, the wake, right? Yeah. The father of a person he killed, and he had to get rid of that person because they just showed up, you know? And so to see that, how they handled that, Sam's struggle with accepting the shield and becoming Captain America because of the shoes, you know, he was having to fill, and the struggle of thinking that he had imposter syndrome, like this shield is for somebody else, it's for Steve. Mm-hmm. But realizing that the powerful story of Isaiah Bradley and what this country did to that man. Yeah. And seeing his point of view, hearing it out of his mouth, and him understanding what had happened to him, and then Sam's growth as a character, understanding that it doesn't have to be his story. He can take that burden, put it on his shoulders, and do it for the both of them, and understand that he is Captain America, and he can do this. He can step into that role. Yeah. So I think those were super important in the way that Carl killed it. Yeah, like the way that it happened, the introduction of his nephew, who's a young Avenger. Like, you know, for us comic heads, we know that stuff, right? Yeah. So that was an awesome Easter egg. Yeah. And it was such that bro, Isaiah Bradley scene at the very end, and him finally getting his just due, bro. I cried like a little bitch, bro, because
I'm sure it's the same for a lot of us when Marvel decided to release the comic line. When we heard the premise, it was like, of course, that's how it would have happened.
Yeah, exactly. And then what can you say about WandaVision?
Oh my God, bro.
Dude, like Vinny was saying, like huge balls, right? Because they knew from the jump what they were doing. And if you try, at least on my end, when I'm trying to imagine like Marvel's whiteboard with Kevin Feige, it looks like the TVA at the end when somebody fucks everything up and everything is branching off and there's sticky notes everywhere. It's gotta be. Yeah. That's gotta be what it is. Yeah. And to see that they have a plan and the way that they tied all of these shows together. Yeah. And it's just the first wave of these TV shows, right? And so you have WandaVision that started it. Mm-hmm. You didn't know what you were going to get. You just knew it was going to be crazy. Yep. And then knowing her powers like I do, you knew that, you know, this is one of those shows that actually had me thinking long after I watched the episode.
Yeah.
And definitely. You know, right or wrong, like if you know, if you liked it or you didn't like it, if you're thinking about it later, that's some powerful writing, because just the pain that she was in that caused all of this, that caused her to make this small world where she had her family. Yeah. What it could be like with Vision if it wasn't taken away, right? Yeah. You know, and all of these shows have been about family and loss, reconnection, and growth. Yeah. And so you look at it, and there's so many great lines in this show, but to wrap up what I thought about WandaVision is the thing that got me thinking is like the search for her children, the pain of losing Vision, how much pain this woman is in.
Well, at least twice now.
Yeah. Exactly. And now, you know, she's secluded herself. She's got the book, The Darkhold, and she's like exploring, right? Yeah. And she's kind of, after hurting so many people, she put herself in her own prison by separating herself from everything. Yeah. And then I think about when she kept expanding her world and making it bigger
Yeah.
And I kept on thinking about all those shield agents that she was swallowing up.
Yeah.
Or sword agents. And you think about that and you go, were some of those Skrulls?
Yeah.
Are they going to be super Skrulls because of this? Are they
Yeah.
going to turn are they going to have powers?
Yeah.
Like, this is the kind of thing that, like these so many just mind-blowing moments that I just kept thinking about this show long after it was over. Like, am I going to get more Jimmy and Kat Dennings? Like, Darcy,
Jimmy Woo. Yeah, we got to see that.
Jimmy Woo and Darcy have a show, right?
Yeah,
like
that needs to happen. They need
that
show.
definitely
that was
needs to
pretty
happen.
amazing. And I think if you look back at it, I look back at everything as a whole, and you see the growth, the humanity, the love that was taken here. All the new introductions and how they were handled with care. And for a first run, I think this is a fucking home run, guys.
Yeah.
Like, literally, like, for a first run of shows, I think they did really, really well.
They did exactly what they basically needed to do.
Exactly.
And when you're talking about like WandaVision and you're talking about her power set, like, we literally, you know what I mean? Even her creating her own, we literally got a portion of House of M on this television show. Literally.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just her discovering what her abilities and how far she could literally go was incredible.
They even had the label on the wine bottle.
Exactly.
And then I got my favorite, I got Monica Rambeau. I got Wotan.
Yes.
Dude.
Yes.
And the way they showed her powers, it's just like, I
exactly.
can't wait
and the Lori Livingston cameo too.
Yes.
For all that we didn't get on the big screen, we got so much more on the small screen.
We got so much more on the small screen.
Yes.
And I feel like all of it was beautiful because it was all written so well, and it was so diverse without shoving it down your throat. They all had important stories to tell, and everybody got their shine.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think when you look back at it from a distance, they killed it. And for me, like, this is really difficult because there's so many things in What If that I want to explore. Like, I'm going to get the Ultron that I thought I should have gotten Age of Ultron.
Yeah, true.
And then busting through the multiverse and the Watcher and how he handled that.
Yeah.
There's so much here that they
it's
can
so
do.
disappointing that we didn't that wrapped up Ultron so neatly when that's somebody you can't get rid of.
Exactly. He's in the ether always, right? With technology and everything, he's always in the background.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, obviously, What If, because it's multiple stories in one, and there's some strong ones and the filler episodes, not so strong.
Yeah.
But I still think that there is some powerful stuff in there with Strange and hearing Chadwick Boseman's voice again.
Yes.
And seeing a different take on him. Yeah. Like, I loved all of that.
Yeah.
So What If is my number 5. And number 4 is Loki. But there's so many strong elements in this show and so many important teasers for what's to come. I can't wait for season 2. Yeah. So for me, it's number 4. And number 3, here's the thing, guys. I love Captain America. I love Sam Wilson. I love the Winter Soldier. I love Isaiah Bradley. Like, the longest run of books besides Daredevil and the X-Men, I read Captain America.
Yeah.
And so that's number 3 for me, and it was tough. Number 2 is Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Hawkeye hit everything that I pretty much needed to hit, minus the minor stumble in the finale, which I can't really fault them because of how much they had to tie up.
Yeah.
But overall, when I look back at it as a series, like, the pacing was incredible. We got Kingpin, we got Echo, there's more to come with them. Yeah. Yelena coming in and stealing the show, the emotion between her and Hawkeye on the ice, and he told her, he's like, think about it. I couldn't beat her.
Yeah.
And you know your sister.
Yeah.
Like, are you going to tell me there was another way? She was doing this.
Yeah.
And she understood right there. She was like, oh, shit, you're right.
Yeah.
You know, she wanted to be angry. She wanted to take it out on him. She wanted to blame him. It would be the easy thing. But once he talked to her about what happened and knowing the whistle and knowing their childhood, knowing about her flying the plane and then, you know, wanting only to protect Yelena and making sure nothing happened to her, was a really powerful moment. And the moment where he turned his hearing aid off both times to think about Natasha, right?
Yeah.
Like, to talk to her and just to drown out the noise and just be with her.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing show. And then WandaVision.
Yeah.
There's just so much here. Like,
yeah.
I just kept thinking about the possibilities. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm like, fuck, man, is she really going to be Magneto's daughter? Like, how are they going to do this? You know what I mean? Like expanding. Is this going to be like how we get some Super Skrulls in Invasion? Like what are the possibilities here and the effects that she has on the Marvel universe and the entire world, right?
Yeah.
Because of her power set.
Yeah.
And it came down to some really powerful character moments between her vision, her kids, her pain, watching him die.
Yeah.
And then you getting the flashback of her taking the body, like rebuilding it and going to where their future home was going to be. Like, dude, like, you know, there's just so much. Like, I really can't say enough. Like, kudos to them for having the balls to fucking try something like this and not giving a shit, like zero fucks about how it was going to play out because they had a plan.
Yeah.
And
they did it well.
They really did execute it well. And I think overall, it's like, you know, I'm really curious to hear what Brendan's take on all of it is because he's so, like, he has so much knowledge, all you guys do about comics. But yeah, that's my take on it for my
well said. Well said. I
1.
mean, well said, bro. Well said. Well, and you touched on the emotional beats. That was well said, bro. Appreciate that. Yeah, butt naked. You have the floor.
So, okay, I'm trying to. All right. Well, see, I didn't just do a top 5. I did the ranking of all of the MCU properties.
Of course you did.
Just take out the movies. Just use your
No, I know I'm going to. But the reason why I did, and the reason why I say that though, there were 9 properties total. All right, 5 shows, 4 films, and it. Even number 9 on my list of the entire thing, which I'll give you right now, is the Eternals. I still really, really fucking like the Eternals. So when we're talking about these top 5s, it's like the margin between number 5 and number 1 is like, it's a short and curly, right? It's not, you know, it's not a wide margin. So for me, I think it was pretty much all of us. I think number 5 is What If. And again, we all dug What If, so that's not a knock on it. It's just, I mean, it's just a testament to how powerful their Disney Plus TV lineup was this year. Right. What If, I absolutely loved. I think some of the great elements in that, obviously hearing Chadwick's voice again was powerful. Supreme Strange. The dark journey that they put him on was very, very powerful and only ratchets up my excitement. I'm sure everybody on here, and I think most people, for Multiverse of Madness and getting him on screen. It also vindicates Lael and I from certain individuals who insisted that if Marvel cared enough about those characters, they would have been in live action to begin with.
Yep. Shows you that they cared.
it also shows like don't fuck with our knowledge of this stuff and what
Exactly. Exactly.
what Marvel values and what Kevin Feige values, because
Exactly.
Kevin Feige is like us. He's an OG comic head, all right?
Right.
So he's doing it with that lens, okay?
Yeah.
I loved Peter Parker's journey. You know, he had that little kind of Mrs. Robinson, you know, vibe going with Wasp. But him losing everybody,
Yeah.
you know, I think was an underrated element of What If in the zombie episode.
Yeah.
I loved the whodunit kind of murder mystery element to the second episode and the Hank Pym reveal.
Yeah.
I would love to see in the future they do some what ifs in future seasons that kind of harken back to original comic storylines, but they're what ifs in this version. Like, what if Hank Pym was a founding member of the Avengers, because he actually was in the comics. So,
Right.
So I love that. I thought they just overall did a great job with What If. I dug Captain Carter. I love Haley Atwell, so more of her is always welcome in my book. And I think that there were some weak spots in What If, but there are weak spots in every show and every movie. And I think that the weak spots did not detract from the things that we absolutely loved.
Yeah.
So, you know, overall, I think it was creative. It captured what we loved about the What If comics, which I think was the main goal. Obviously, like Joe mentioned, you know, seeing Ultron, you know, all powered the fuck up and the way we wanted. He wasn't just gone in a blip. Getting the Watcher in there, obviously Jeffrey Wright is the fucking man, so getting him in there with that voice was perfect.
Yes.
I would love to see him in live action. And one of my favorite elements of the What If show was actually, again, revisiting the dynamic between Clint and Natasha, and them being like the last two, and all the fight just being gone from Clint. And him having that the metal arm and you know, and their dynamic when they're the last two remaining, and it's just fitting that way. So I loved that, and that's a potential vehicle for seeing Nat back in the MCU again.
Yes.
So you know, we'll see where that goes. So yeah, number 5. Number 4 is where I diverge from the group a bit. WandaVision.
Excuse me?
WandaVision.
What?
I love the show.
My hearing's fucked up.
I love the show. I really, really do. I enjoyed the absolute fuck out of it. There are reasons why I have other things above it that I'll get into when we get to those. But as far as WandaVision goes, beautifully shot. I love that they actually used the cameras and lenses of the era for those early episodes of... you know, the parts that actually look like sitcoms, they used those cameras.
That's why it looks so good.
It was beautifully done. They were very true to those eras. They tried their best to really make it seem like you were watching I Love Lucy. Like you were, you know.
If you're an old head and you watch those shows, it fucking felt like those shows.
It did. It didn't feel like you were watching them recreate something. It felt like you were just watching those actual era specific shows, and that was great. I love Kat Dennings and Jimmy Woo. I mean, those, you know, they were a great tag team. I really want to see more of them. I got a little bit. So one of the things that I was let down, I didn't mind the Ralph Boner thing, honestly. What I was a little bit let down by was them, you know, having all those House of M teases and then bringing in Quicksilver from the Fox films, and then just kind of throwing that aside.
Yeah.
That part bothered me. More so than I anticipated being bothered by anything in this show, to be perfectly honest. That stuck with me for a while because I felt like it was, you know, hey, look at this, and then no, and then just a complete missed opportunity. One of the biggest blunders that, quite honestly, I think in this Kevin Feige MCU that have been made. to be perfectly honest. That did hurt a little bit.
Like what if Andrew showing up in No Way Home was just a spell and it really wasn't him?
Yeah, yeah. So it was just it was one of those really, really like glaring missteps that I'm genuinely surprised that under Kevin Feige's leadership they would have made, and that definitely brought it down on my ratings in this. Again, I still absolutely loved it. I love Monica Rambeau. I love seeing her in there and what that means for the future. I loved the pain and the anguish that Elizabeth Olsen's character had to overcome. I mean, she's captivating. I absolutely love watching her on screen. Mm-hmm. Paul Bettany is great. Overall, the whole cast is phenomenal. And so I really, really dug the show. Cinematography was gorgeous. Sound design, overall, absolutely great. And I feel like the one thing that I would say was a little bit of a detraction is that, again, as much as I love it, and I loved Agatha Harkness, I felt like there were too many red herrings. I felt like they were pointing us toward really expecting something else along with her as a really, really big bad, a really big kind of like obstacle. And while I love Catherine Hahn in that role, I feel like they had an opportunity to maybe up the stakes a little bit more. And then I feel like they just kind of ended very suddenly on that front. So I absolutely loved it, but those kind of two things I think brought it down in my rankings. That being said, there aren't so many. Those were only those kind of two things. There aren't so many things that brought that down so much as things that elevated the others on the list for me. And the next one for me is Loki. And I know a lot of people would have WandaVision ranked higher than Loki. For me, there are a couple of real key things that drove Loki home for me that put it above WandaVision on my list. One of them being the relationship, the chemistry, the dynamic between Loki and Sylvie, I think, was just so damn good. And it's something that it's not like that kind of thing that it's just in the writing. Those actors have to have it, and they had it. They were great on camera. I absolutely loved that. I know there's the comedic, ironic element of Loki. Of course, he'd love himself. But there's another deeper element to it that I think people often overlook, and is that he didn't just love himself. He loved a better version of himself that he didn't think he could ever be. All right? Sylvie was better than him. Yes, she was trying to kill some motherfuckers. She was doing some dirt herself. But she was at the core, she was a better version of Loki than he was. And I thought it was powerful that she kind of kickstarted that journey for him to go on to. Because you remember, this is 2012 Loki. This is OG Avengers movie Loki. This isn't Loki after the Dark World.
All the stuff.
This isn't Loki after Ragnarok. This isn't Loki after, trying to save Thor in Infinity War and dying, right? He didn't see his mom die and be impacted by that. So the journey that he went on in this show never felt forced to me. It didn't feel rushed. I felt like it made sense because there was the core of who he was, and she was the catalyst. She was the thing that brought him on that journey without all the other elements, and still gave us a semblance of the Loki that we all kind of had by the time we got to Infinity War, and that we really loved. So, the chemistry there, obviously Owen Wilson and his co-star, his mustache, was, they were phenomenal. I really would love a hot toy of him on a jet ski. That would be badass.
It's so sad we didn't get that.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. And I think he was so good on that show. I loved the cinematography on that show. It was just really amazing. But the thing that really capped it off for me and ended it on such a high note Fucking Jonathan Majors, man.
Yeah.
That dude, I'll watch him read the goddamn dictionary, okay? He was so good.
He had everyone's attention.
Right, and I know some people were like, oh, there's so much exposition. Fuck, I don't give it to me. I don't care. Give me a whole episode of just exposition from Jonathan Majors, because he wasn't just sitting there and talking. His charisma, his acting, his presence was so fucking palpable there that I was literally leaning closer to my TV as he spoke. All right? And the way he did it and how beautifully it was written too, to the point where he really made it, he completely flipped Loki on his position. And then created that tension because Sylvie still wanted to kill him.
Right.
And so now you've got this, oh shit, they were in lockstep and now they're not, but he's in love with her. And that creates a whole new dichotomy for him to have to deal with. Right. And I thought that was really, really powerful.
He was unpredictable.
Yes.
He wasn't a predictable character. You didn't go into it thinking that you knew what was going to happen.
Right.
He made the character
that we've
conventional
seen
and
so
unpredictable.
much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that everybody thought, well, we know Loki. We know what he's going to do. We didn't know what he was going to do in this show, and we didn't know where he was going to start versus where he was going to end in that show.
And Loki's another power scale problem character where we know in the comics he has so much magic and we don't get to see any of it in the Marvel movies. And here's him saying, oh, maybe I'm more powerful than I realized, when you see like OG Loki fucking creating mad and shit.
And what Sylvie could do. And so we start to realize, like, okay, these aren't like limitation. This isn't just as far as I can go. This is just as far as I have learned in this corner, this universe. Yeah. But there's more to unlock, and that is a way for kind of characters that we've talked about being nerfed, to kind of expand. Right. And so I think that the doors that were opened by both WandaVision and Loki are insane. Yeah. But the ones that were opened by Loki, I think, have more far-reaching implications right now. And so that's why it really was powerful for me and was number 3. Number 2, Falcon and Winter Soldier. For me, I mean, Sam Wilson, I've always loved the character, but Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan have such great chemistry. There were so many layers to this, and one of them that was really, really powerful for me was that Sam hesitated to take up that mantle, to take up the shield, and Bucky was fucking pissed at him. And he was pissed because he thought that he was looking at it from the wrong angle. That's not to say it wasn't valid, his feelings, because he was worried that if Steve judged Sam incorrectly, that meant he judged Bucky incorrectly and that Bucky wasn't worth saving. Yeah. And I get that. And he did. But the thing that he didn't realize it wasn't about Sam wondering if he was worthy to be Captain America. It was about Sam also having to deal with the fact that he would be a black Captain America.
Exactly.
And that's something that nobody's ever had to deal with before, and it's something that Bucky couldn't tell him how to handle. It's something that Bucky couldn't say, this is how you go through this is what you think.
Yeah.
And it was an underlying privilege thing, right? It was something that other people have the privilege of not even having to think about.
And Bucky realized it later on.
Didn't even realize that was something that would be an issue for him.
Right, and Bucky, he recognized it later on. Yeah. But it took him a while, and it should have, because most white people with superpowers, for fuck's sake, are not going to understand what he was facing. They're going to think, oh, fuck yeah, I'll be Captain America. Sure, give me that shield.
Or he thought about it.
And you even had Don Cheadle as Rhodey trying to convince him to take it up. Yeah. And that's another black character who's trying to convince him to take it up, because Rhodey has this sense of duty to his country and to the Avengers, and he sees that, all right? And he's been in the military. But on the other side of that, you have Isaiah Bradley, all right? And just the horrible treatment that he and so many others of color were given by this country in that. Yeah. And I'll tell you, I've been a huge fan of Carl Lumbly since back when he was on J.J. Abrams' OG show, Alias, with Jennifer Garner, right?
Alias was
Yeah.
Dude is a really good actor. He's good with physical acting. He's good with action.
Yeah.
But he was powerful in that role. He had that hate built up that was 1000% justified.
Yeah.
And to have those two ends of the spectrum with Rhodey and with Isaiah, and then you've got Sam in the middle trying to deal with his identity as a black man who could potentially take up the mantle of Captain America, as well as just an American and somebody who served in the military.
Yeah.
Having the opportunity because he knows who Steve was, and 100% knows that there was nothing racially motivated with Steve. Steve just saw him for who he was and said, "This is the guy. This is the guy to take on the fight." And so he's pulled in all these different directions.
Yeah.
And it was so powerful the way they did that.
Yeah.
The character moments in that all around. I mean, some of the absolute best, well, definitely the absolute best action that we've seen with the Falcon wings in the MCU. All right.
It set up a lot of people who was like, "Well, how would he fight? He doesn't have watch him."
When he's going after Batroc and going through those helicopters and stuff, man, and then that powerful scene where John Walker just kills that kid.
Yeah.
And then the journey that he goes on, and realizing that, you know, the whole thing where Sam doesn't need to take on the super soldier serum, all right, not because, you know, he's worried that it'll make him bad, because like they said, it just usually enhances the character of that person, and so Sam probably would be perfectly fine, just like Steve was, if he took the super soldier serum. But he didn't feel it was necessary. It wasn't something that he had to do to be worthy of being Captain America. Whereas John Walker, when he realized that he wasn't just the absolute badass and he wasn't going to be able to do what Steve Rogers did or what a lot of these other guys and superpowered individuals can do, he then felt unworthy, not because of dealing with the societal issues, but because he just felt like he couldn't actually hang with all the superpowered guys.
Yeah.
So there was that inferiority complex for him, and Sam didn't have that. So, yeah, I absolutely love this. I love the vibe with Sam's sister. I love the little kind of like wink and nod between Bucky and her, and then Sam getting uncomfortable, because it just it added layers to his relationship with Bucky.
Yeah.
So I know like a lot of people have issues with this show and the Flag Smashers and all that stuff. To me, this show was still extremely powerful, and I enjoyed the absolute fuck out of it.
Yeah.
So that's why it's number 2 for me. Number 1 is Hawkeye. And when I'm talking about these rankings, it's just sheer enjoyment out of watching these and what they brought to the table for me as an old school comic fan. All the nods, all the Easter eggs, how faithful they were to the source material on this, is something that you, even with the Kevin Feige MCU, this level of fealty to the source material, it doesn't happen at this level very often. And kudos, I mean, Matt Fraction was involved, and that's why. But they really, really fucking nailed this. The relationship between Kate and Hawkeye, I mean, there are a few things that were more powerful than that scene where she's writing down what his kid is saying on the phone. All right. And the bond that they shared once that happened was unbelievable. Such a powerful character moment. Then the fun back and forth between her and Clint. And then also, like, when he's teaching her how to flip the coin and stuff, that stuff is absolutely phenomenal. It was so much fun when they're getting drunk on the daiquiris and stuff. But then you get Yelena, and that relationship there. Kate Bishop and Yelena. So you've got
Yeah.
Haley Steinfeld and
Florence Pugh.
Florence Pugh. That's just right there. I want more of that. I want a whole movie or TV show that is just those two. Even if it's just them sitting eating mac and cheese and shooting the shit, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
It was so powerful. It was such a great full circle moment for Clint and Yelena, and and realizing that they both just have to figure out a way to live with Nat's decision in Endgame. So I absolutely love that. It had Die Hard vibes. It was just the holiday Christmas vibes. It brought in characters that I never thought I was going to see, like Echo. It brought in characters like I never thought I'd see again, on screen, like Vincent D'Onofrio coming in as Kingpin. So now we know we're getting, stuff like Daredevil and Echo and Kingpin, and those right there, those are the biggest things in the world to me, is Daredevil and Kingpin coming in.
Definitely.
And Echo introducing those and knowing that there's just nothing that's off limits in the MCU, and that we are getting the actual comics just brought to screen. I had so much fun with this show, and for me, an easy number one.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. That's definitely valid, bro. Like, and good points that you actually hit on, especially the emotional beats in the show. Again, I think all in all, and shout out to Lens Design, aka That's My Thing, for the $20 super chat. Please like and follow these three guys. I have a question. So what is your question, bro?
Dude, it wouldn't let me type in Punisher. I tried over and over. I was like, what the hell?
You had to super chat another $20 to finish your question.
Oh, okay. That's what it was. I had to switch to the computer. My phone wouldn't do it. It says, no, you have to ask a different question.
Yeah,
but
that's crazy.
I wanted to hear your guys' thoughts on the new Punisher logo and them taking his guns away and giving him swords.
Wow, I don't want to get canceled for this answer, but cops, yo.
Yeah.
Fucking cops fucked it up for him. They had to take a step back.
There you go, Brendan.
There's so many, I don't know, the creators aren't a fan of cops using it as a rallying cry, because Punisher is supposed to be what's wrong with the justice system, what's wrong with America, what's wrong with the way, and everything that he's doing. It's not heroic. He's not supposed to be someone you look up to. It's supposed to be, a message.
You also can't cut somebody up with a katana and then try and claim that you thought you were reaching for your taser.
Exactly. So I feel like they changed that. They're doing this series that is away from guns, and it's set in the samurai Eastern theme, and changing up his logo to kind of give themselves some breathing room from the bad PR that they're getting with people who, there's literally fans who are like, man, I don't feel comfortable wearing my Punisher shirt in public anymore, because now it feels like siding with people who are shooting unarmed civilians, because that's
the negative connotation.
Exactly. There's people now who, like, if you have I support the police on your lawn, it's almost like you having a Trump sign on your lawn. So it's more political than they probably were ever thought it would be. So they're trying to distance themselves from it for a minute.
Yeah.
Now, is the question also of will we see it on Disney? Because that I don't think so. For me.
No, we're not getting the Punisher in the MCU.
I don't want.
It's not happening.
I don't want the Punisher on Disney Plus. I don't think I want it in MCU, and it's really tough because I would love to see more of Berthel's Punisher.
Yeah.
I would love to see more of that. It's just I'm scared right now seeing if they're going to be able to make Moon Knight dark. So I damn sure don't think they'd be able to make Punisher as dark as it needs to be. So
that'll be the metric. What they do with Moon Knight.
If they, I really, after seeing how Hawkeye went, I kind of feel a little less confident on them being able to like have the discipline to like be like, nah, we can just do it hardcore and not have any kind of comedy with it, or I mean, not that Moon Knight doesn't have any comedy, but I don't see it being quite as serious as we're all hoping for. But that's up for debate. I'm hopeful that it might be. However, as serious as Punisher would need to be, I definitely don't see Disney ready to go down that road. And I like to this day, I'm still, right-ish at every time I hear about rated R Deadpool. Like I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. It's like this is Disney, kind of distancing themselves from the mess.
Right.
And they don't, like I said, and we all know there's politics for political reasons, why they dumb certain characters down, which I understand, but then at the same time, you're taking something away from something that we know is serious that we don't make serious in this universe. You know what I mean?
Right.
This is Marvel that we're talking about. Keep it within that wheelhouse without modifying these characters just because. Because, listen, I mean, regardless if you actually have you're going to have these people out here. They're going to continue to do the shit that they do regardless. Mm-hmm. If you know what I mean, to associate that with the Punisher character. It's just, come on, man. Like that's just completely foolish.
I wish they would ignore it, as opposed to like try to lean into avoiding it. Because I mean, if a cop, if cops all adopted Spider-Man's logo or Blade's logo or something, I wouldn't want them to change what they do with that character because of, okay, police are a bad example because that's divisive and it could go either way. And depending on perspective, I get it. But if any affiliated group, whether it be the Klan or BLM or the cops or anybody, associate themselves with the character that Marvel isn't a part of, they shouldn't address it or worry about it. They should keep separate and not let that influence how they write their stories. They should let their stories speak for themselves. And if people who they don't wish to adopt that symbolism adopts it, that's on them. Like you could have a serial killer who goes around with a Batman logo. It doesn't mean Batman's a serial killer.
Yeah, that's the thing is don't make it political. Plain and simple.
Right.
That's the one thing you don't want to basically
bring it up a little,
do.
Bren. There you go. Bring it up. There you go.
Hold on a second.
That's now, mind you, this is for a miniseries. So
it's a 13 issue run.
So they haven't said this is now his official logo, but it's
this could just fit in with the Asian theme and
it's just a run for right now.
This run he's working with the Hand.
Right.
So, we'll see once that ends, then we'll see what happens. Ultimately, I think this is a temporary thing, but to be perfectly honest, it might be a character that they kind of step away from for a little bit. I mean, they've done it for other reasons, like stepping away from the Fantastic Four because Fox had the rights and even not creating any new X-Men characters and, in fact, killing millions of them off in storylines. So, it could just be a thing where they step away, they do this, and then maybe they step away from the Punisher for a year or two and don't really do a lot of new books, and then he comes back at some point. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's a tricky thing for them to navigate because the Punisher logo has been kind of co-opted by a lot of groups and stuff, and it was put on like military vehicles and cop cars and stuff.
Isn't criticizing military because
no, it's not. It's just saying that
military shouldn't feel like they're judge, jury, and executioner either. So it's not necessarily critical of military or cops when we say like that doesn't go hand in hand because Frank Castle, if he kills without due process, like that is not supposed to be what you're
right. This is and usually he gets it right though and kills the bad guys, which is but so that's the thing that I think it's more just Marvel realizing, hey, that there are going to be a lot of people who look at it one way and there are going to be a lot of people who look at it another way and not as many people who are looking at it in the middle, and they don't want to continue to be using a symbol that is being co-opted for one side or the other, one end of the spectrum or the other. It's not, a tacit approval or disapproval of law enforcement or of Black Lives Matter or anything like that. I think it's Marvel just saying, this is a landmine that we don't need to wade through right now. This is a minefield that we don't need to wade through right now.
Especially how divisive this country is right now. They don't want to lose. They don't want to lose half their viewers.
But it's also the other part though is it's not even just about, you know, like police and Black Lives Matter and stuff. There's also just, you know, as far as school shootings and gun violence and then the police and Black Lives Matter and stuff like that, where there's so many fronts that I think they just want to try and step away from such a gun heavy character in the first place. Not saying that that's going to be the case for forever, because Frank Castle will absolutely come back. Marvel is not saying, oh, no more guns. They're just saying that the nature of that character, it's okay to take a break from that character right now, given you know the state of the
circumstances.
And that's another reason beyond just that they're not going to kind of tone it down the way they need to have it on Disney Plus. Why I don't think we're seeing the Punisher come back in the MCU. So as far as what I think about this new approach, this 13 issue arc, I'll read it and then we'll see. It comes down to how they do. I love the Hand as a criminal organization in the comics. He's had plenty of dealings with the Hand over the decades. So this isn't just like out of the blue somewhere. You know, so yeah, we just gotta have to wait and see how they execute it. The decision to maybe kind of step away from the usual Frank Castle character is not necessarily a bad thing. It's about how they pull it off, and we'll see that when this comes.
How they execute it.
The design is not like I'm not loving it. It's not blowing me away, but
it's a horrible design.
Yeah, but it's also kind of like I figured, you know.
But this is par for course. Every few years, they do something fucking wacky with Punisher, like make him Frankenstein or put him in space or whatever.
He's been in space. He's been in hell. He's been in the Iron, the War Machine suit. Like there's a lot of wacky stuff that has happened.
You're just
Frank
basically
Castle
saying that he's very, you know, we're seeing that Frank Castle is very resourceful. Plain and simple, he's very resourceful, and there's meat to the character and things to be told, and you can count on him. So to get the job done if he sets his heart to it. Anyway, everybody, thank you for basically being here with us tonight. It was a nice chat. We are over 2 hours. We're actually at 2 hours and 21 minutes, but it was a lot to discuss. I do thank everybody for being here. I thank the panel. Skylar, my daughter, thank you for coming through, baby. I'm so glad you came through tonight. Do appreciate that. Vinny, what you got coming up next, brother?
Man, I am catching up on some art. I'm catching up on some R&R. Like, it's been go for 9-10 months here with my landscaping season. So I'm looking forward to catching up on some stuff around the house and just taking a little breather. So I'm looking forward to, man, we got Mandalorian and Cobra Kai in less than a week. It's like, I mean, I'm not Mandalorian. Book of Boba Fett, excuse me. Book of Boba Fett and Cobra Kai at the end of the week. Then, you know, taking it easy for New Year's, and you know, that would be most of my New Year's is probably be just like binging the shit out of Boba Fett and Cobra Kai. So I'm looking forward to that for sure.
Definitely, man. Joe, what you got coming up, brother?
Same thing with Vinny, like just taking a break and then binging Cobra Kai and what were we just saying? See how tired I am. Cobra Kai and Book of Boba Fett.
Book of Boba Fett,
Hell yeah.
And they're going to do that right because, you know, they only release one episode a week. So the hype is live for a week.
Will it be one the first week or will they do two the first week?
I think it'll probably be one.
I think it's just one.
Yeah, so that hype just keeps building every week. They're talking about it for the whole week, you know? So that's pretty cool.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Butt Naked. What you got coming up, brother?
You don't want to say my whole name?
Nah, I just want to say Butt Naked.
All right, that's okay.
Mama Rockwell's other son, a.k.a. Butt Naked. It's just silly. What you got coming up, man?
So we got some streams this week. I got a bunch of work, the client stuff, projects that I'm editing right now. Boba on Wednesday is huge.
Yeah.
Might try and to get in a little PS5 time. They had a big sale right now, so I picked up for like half price Far Cry 6 and NBA 2K22. So I'm gonna be diving into.
Oh, check out that Matrix Matrix demo. It's crazy.
It's insane, right?
It is so much better than the movie was.
It's insane. I want
so much better than the movie
game of it.
was.
I want to flesh that game of it. It's
definitely me too. And then more just kind of barreling through, catching up with all my comic reading. And goddamn, so another issue in the Devil's Reign crossover event on Wednesday, but also they just announced it today. This summer, Marvel's big motherfucking event, Judgment Day.
Judgment Day, yeah.
Summer 2022.
Charlie
Avengers versus X-Men.
X-Men.
Versus the
Eternals. Shit is gonna get real.
Yeah.
And just so you know, if you look back at the timing of a lot of different things they've done in the comics, they do them oftentimes to coincide with and or elevate characters in the books that are about to do some serious shit on screen.
Yeah.
And we've got the Eternals that have come in. We are waiting for the X-Men to come in and the new iteration of the Avengers. And so this summer, I guarantee you we're going to see some pretty cool shit. So I am super psyched for that. And then usually there will be a road to, that takes like a month or two at least prior to that. So honestly, by like April probably, which is not that far off,
right
around the time that we're getting, just after the Batman and right around the with into Multiverse of Madness and stuff. The comics are going to really jump off this spring and summer. So something to watch out for. So definitely check out Devil's Reign right now and get ready because it's going to get crazy this summer.
Definitely, man. Like, listen, everybody out in the chat, thank you for actually coming and watching. You've been an important part of this show and its success. Thank you all for basically being here. I want to give a shout out to Charlie the Unicorn, Mark 70 issue, my guy. We have, what the heck is that, bro? What is that? Reading Rainbow. That's funny to read Rainbow.
Proper time.
Hold on. Hold on. Let me put that up. So we have my daughter Skylar Byesmore. Thank you for coming through. We have Tobar. We have single songwriter Charlie the Unicorn. Let me see, Latoya T, baby. Thank you for coming through. DK. We have, let me see here, Mike Fiala, get better, my guy. See you soon. Let's see who else we have here. Lynch Design. We have Nihilus Gray. Thank you for basically being
like
here,
he's
man.
Staring right into my soul.
Exactly right. we have who else? We have, oh man, let me see who else we got here.
He can't even think.
I can't. Big Dog Pound, thank you for coming through as always. Let's see here, who else we got, man. Same names all the time. Louis LeBitch, thank you for being here, man. Ray C. Let's see who else we got. Keep going. We got Rod, Costa Collector, Coast Cash coming, man. Thank you for coming through, Rod. So glad you were here, brother. Who else do we have?
Everybody check out Kingsman. Solid flick.
Really?
Flick.
Yep.
We got Deso Bragg. Thank you for coming here, man. Thank you for being here as always. Yuli Second Kid, thank you for being here, man. As always. We got Sky Easton Band. Thank you for actually coming through, guy. Love you. Let's see here. Who else we got?
Vinny's arm's getting tired there.
I know. Renz Talentino, thank you for coming
chat.
through. The collector number one, Darryl Smith Jr., thank you for basically being here, man. Loco Lou, thank you for coming through, man. As always, My man McBain, Malachi McBain, thank you for being here.
Lael
we have-
already, for God's sake, send Mark the motherfucking beat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Numenar 843, thank you for being here. Charlie Unicorn, Luke, Scott, E92, thank you for basically being here. And then everybody who I didn't mention SpongeBob Square Balls, thank you for coming through, man, as always. And everybody else who I didn't mention, I'm so glad that you're basically here. I will sing you the beat, Mark, man. Just give me a minute, man. Everything's been busy. But again, everybody, thank you for actually being here. Thank you for being part of this channel.
Sport one.
Giving us,
It's like he's pulsing.
yo, and thank you for basically being here and just bringing the good feels, and the fun, everything that we actually need to make this show successful. As always, we do love you. Good night, and until next week, stay classy, stay a geek. I'm telling you, man, just always stay tuned for good content.
Stay
And
classy,
we love
San
you.
Diego.
Yeah, stay classy. And
Happy
next
New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
New Year.
Exactly. This is the final show before the new year. So we're going to be bringing in some good stuff next Monday. So stay tuned for that. But again, man, so glad that this show and so glad that I have this incredible panel of guys that we're all involved. So I thank God for that. My man, Jedi Kid, can't wait to see you next week, man.
Yes.
Back on the show where you should be. So yeah, man, so glad that we got this going and we're going to keep it moving. We're going to keep this train rolling. So without further ado, peace and love, and stay tuned for next week. Stay geek. You know, this is the place you should be at all times. We love you and we out. Peace.